A very warm welcome to all the delegates who are present here. I, the immediate past convener of Use Exchange, welcome you all to today's session. This is the third session we have planned on a regular basis. The first 2 days was covered. The first day we had a session on blocking of ITC, provisional assessment, and rigmarole of ITC, which was dealt in by CA Gaurav Gupta and Achal Kapoorji. The second day we had assessment and adjudication, which was dealt by Ashok Batraji. And today we have with us Jatin Christopherji, who will be dealing with summons and notices, including fake invoices. I welcome you, sir, and give my regards, sir, for accepting this invitation on a very short notice, sir. We have two of our executive committee members, C. Dinesh Todi and C. Naveen Singhal with us. I welcome both of you. And now I would request our committee members to proceed.
Hi everyone. Good evening, everyone. And I request our executive committee member, Mr. Naveen G. Singhal, to proceed with. Naveen Ji, your mic is mute. Please unmute your mic. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, wishing you all a very happy new year. I welcome our learned speaker, Christopher sir, and I welcome all the fellow participants. Now I request Dinesh Todi to kindly introduce our learned speaker. Dinesh ji.
Yes, thank you, Naveen Ji. So today, before we introduce our speaker, so let us welcome to our Naveen Ji as a past convener to address the gathering.
Yeah, Dinesh ji, I have already explained to the gatherings. Now you can please introduce Jatin ji.
All right. Thank you. Now I'm introducing Mr. So Jatin Ji Christopher is a chartered accountant, cost accountant, and a law graduate. He is well qualified in 1996 and specialized in the indirect tax laws. He is a resource person for the institute in various post qualification programs on indirect taxation and extends supports on to ICI to publications of education and research materials by ICAI on various indirect tax topics. He is also a resource person for the government in conducting training for practitioner, trade, and officers. He has been practiced in 2000 as a partner in JCSS as a full service firm with presence across India. We welcome Jatin Christopher to start over the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dinesh ji. Thank you, Naveen Singhal. So just to start, I would just like to make a small announcement that all the participants are requested not to put your name and membership number in chat box, rather use it for asking questions. You will be on mute mode during the session. If you have any query with the speaker, you can raise your hand, and with the permission of the speaker, we will be unmuting you so that there won't be disturbances. Rest, sir, how you want to deal with this session, it's all upon you, Jatin sir. That was all from my side, and all over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to Views Exchange for inviting me, and I hope everyone in Avinash ji's family are doing fine at this difficult time. Our prayers for him and his family. This topic is of great importance, and particularly at this time when we are looking at summons, notices, including fake invoices. Fake invoices is an important topic because not everyone who is accused of indulging in fake invoicing has indulged in fake invoicing. If many people have been accused in fake invoicing, not necessary that all of them have actually indulged in fake invoicing. So we will come to that in the later part of the session. Notices are important for us to understand. So we will look at practical experiences we have seen over the last 4.5 years. To begin with, what is summons? What is summons? If you look at section 70, section 70 uses the word inquiry with the word I. There's a very old judgment of Calcutta High Court of 1914 in Baleshwar Bhagarti's case, where it was held that inquiry with an I is to investigate. Enquiry with an E is to ask. So when you look at how summons are being issued, please bear in mind, summons have to be issued pursuant to an investigation. Now, which is the provision of law under which investigation is permitted? Investigation is permitted only under section 67 and no other section. Under 65, what is done is called audit. Under 61, what is done is called scrutiny. So therefore, summons cannot be issued by anybody and everybody, point number one. But the sad part is, everybody is issuing summons. Audit officer is issuing summons, jurisdictional officer is issuing summons, enforcement is issuing summons, vigilance is issuing summons, DGGI is issuing summons. Today, summons has become of no respect. Nobody takes summons seriously. That is what has happened to summons. Why? Because it is an exceptional measure and it has to be used with great caution. The less caution that is exercised in issuing summons, the seriousness will deplete in the way taxpayer responds to summons. We'll come back to summons. We'll look at a few examples. We'll see what happens. If you don't attend summons, what will happen? If you read any summons that is issued, you will find that it says it is a proceeding under that's punishable in terms of 193 and 228 of Indian Penal Code. If you go to Indian Penal Code and see what happens, the officer who has issued summons, in Tufan Singh versus State of Tamil Nadu, it has been held that he is not a police officer. An officer of customs or even GST for that matter is not a police officer. Ramesh Chandra Mehta versus State of West Bengal, Ilyas versus Collector of Customs, all the judgments have been analyzed. And in 2019, October, a brilliant judgment by Justice Rohinton Nariman has been rendered by the Supreme Court in Tufan Singh versus State of Tamil Nadu, which says that a GST officer will not be a police officer, even though he has the power to arrest under section 69. He is not a police officer. Why is he not a police officer? See, it works both ways. If the officer is not a police officer, if the GST officer is not a police officer, then protection under section 25 to 30 of Evidence Act is not available to the assessee. That means any statement made before a police officer is not an admissible evidence. That is what section 24 to 30 essentially deals with. But when you say that a GST officer is not a police officer, then a statement made before such a GST officer can be used against the assessee. So therefore, should we attend, should we not attend? A GST officer, when he is not a police officer, what can he do? What should he do? Whenever there is a proceeding where prosecution has to be initiated, the GST officer must file a complaint under section 191A of CRPC before a magistrate. Magistrate will now decide based on the complaint whether cognizance has to be taken, cognizance or sangyan, cognizance, whether cognizance should be taken. If the complaint itself has all the ingredients necessary for the magistrate to take cognizance, he can take cognizance. Or if he is not satisfied that enough aspects are missing for him to take cognizance, he can refer the complaint to a further investigation under 156(3) of CRPC to determine whether there is a prima facie case. Now you please see how summons are being issued. Summons are issued asking assessee to produce books of accounts for 3 years. But if you read section 70, very clearly it says to produce a document or any other thing in an inquiry, to give evidence or to produce a document or a thing. If you want a ledger, it's a document. If you want a contract, it's a document. If you want a statement of account, it's a document. If you want copies of banks' challans, a document. If you want all the books of accounts, it is not a document. So there was one summons that was issued a few years ago, 2-3 years ago. Officer sent a letter stating that please produce your books of accounts. As you know, friends, there is no section for the department to ask for books of accounts unless it is an audit under 65. So the assessee replied saying that I am not permitted by section 160 subsection 2 to entertain such proceedings without questioning the validity of such proceedings. So the assessee questioned saying that under which provision of law are you asking me to produce the books of accounts? Officer being an officer, he got upset. How dare you say that you are not going to produce the books of accounts? How dare I ask you this question is because that act is telling me to ask this question. If you see section 160 subsection 2, it says at the earliest opportunity, this question must be raised about the validity of the proceeding. Because if I fail to question the proceeding, or if I reply to the proceedings on merits, then I will forego the right to raise this question later. So therefore, I'm asking you this question. Officer read the section. He was very concerned that what assessee is saying is correct. So he issued summons under 70 asking for books of accounts for 3 years. Again, assessee replied, under section 70, there is a requirement to produce a document or any other thing. There is no power under section 70 to call for books of accounts, because obviously you're calling for the books of accounts to find out what you need to find out. It is not like you have found out something and you want confirmation of that fact. You want to collect the books of accounts to find out what you want to find out. So therefore, I politely decline to give you the books of accounts. Now the officer for 2.5 years has not reverted back after that. If we refer to a very old judgment of the Privy Council in 1936 AIR SC 253, Privy Council has said in Nazir Ahmad versus King Emperor, when power is given to do a particular thing, that thing must be done in that particular manner or not at all. Karna ho to isi tarah karo, varna karo hi mat. Please bear in mind, the most powerful section in GST law is section 59. It says, every registered person shall self-assess the tax payable under this act and shall discharge the taxes payable through the returns under section 39. So therefore, I have already carried out my assessment. I have issued an invoice under section 39. I have disclosed my liability in 37, and I have discharged any other thing. I'll come to that. And I have discharged my liability. Under 39. If revenue wants to impeach my assessment, then the revenue has to produce a mountain of evidence. Please go. Let's look at section 155 of GST law. It says, where any person claims input tax credit, then the burden to prove eligibility to such credit is on such person, which means the burden to prove everything else is not on such person. Only entitlement to credit. Other than entitlement to credit, what else is there? Levy, classification, valuation, ITC, everything, the burden is on revenue. Now, in officers training seminars, when this point is brought out, officers are asking, on one hand, you say that it is a self-assessment tax. On other hand, you say that I should already have some information before I issue summons. Then how do I find out whether there is any evasion? Finding out evasion is not by taking the assistance of the taxpayer. Finding out evasion is by analyzing the data that is available on the portal, by analyzing the law, and by analyzing industry practices. You bring all these three together, you will have some information that indicates evasion. So therefore, when you look at summons, it has to be used where justified, it has to be used in an investigation only, and it has to be used to collect a statement to be recorded or to produce books of accounts or any other thing. When you look at any other thing, it could range from samples of the product, tickets, documents that are issued as part of the contract, the wrapping paper used to indicate what printing is made about the product on the wrapper, samples of the raw material, lab reports about the quality of certain ingredients contained in the product, test reports of the utility of the product, any other documents like internal audit report, statements issued before some other regulatory authority, tax audit report, 3CEB, 3CEA, many such TP report, many such documents and things that the assessee holds in possession but not forming part of the books of accounts can also be summoned to establish some fact. Now we have sufficient time. I'm very grateful to News Exchange for setting aside the amount of time that has been set aside, because the topic deserves that kind of careful consideration. Now I mentioned about inquiry. In an inquiry, and if you see, inquiry can be traced back to section 67. Section 67 1A says that three situations must pre-exist. There must be knowledge about the existence of three situations. The taxable person has suppressed stock or suppressed supply. The taxable person has claimed input tax credit more than his entitlement. The taxable person has contravened the act or the rules to evade payment of tax. So evasion lies at the heart of 67. If you see the opening words of 67, it says, where a proper officer not below the rank of joint commissioner has reasons to believe that. So therefore, no less than a joint commissioner should have reasons to believe. When you speak about reasons to believe, please bear in mind, reasons to believe lies in between. It's a spectrum. Suspicion is on one end of the spectrum. Mostly you're not paying tax properly. That is suspicion. The other extreme is I'm having evidence that you're not paying tax properly. Between suspicion and evidence in possession is reasons to believe. Suspicion, reasons to believe, evidence in possession. We look at this. I invite you to please look at Radhakishan Industries versus State of Himachal Pradesh. This is a 2021 judgment where Supreme Court Justice Chandrachud was rendering this judgment, and during the course of the judgment, please mind you, Supreme Court asked for the handwritten remarks of the Joint Commissioner to be sent to Supreme Court. If you see in para 66, just before para 66, the handwritten remarks of the Joint Commissioner are copy-pasted in the Supreme Court judgment. And in para 66, Justice Chandrachud reads the handwritten remarks and said, "ये क्या है? इससे तो कुछ भी नहीं निकल रहा." For these reasons, how they can take this action was the comment made by Supreme Court. So therefore, reasons to believe must pre-exist the inspection. Reasons to believe must be recorded on the file before the date inspection is conducted. If you look at inspection itself, you will find that inspection has to be authorized, and the authorization has a format. The format is GST INS1. Friends, please bear in mind, in Ajanta Electrical, Supreme Court said in 1985 AR, the format of the form gives the interpretation of the rule as per the government. The way government reads the rule it will design the format of a form. So when you read a form in a particular format, you can understand that that is the way government interprets the rule. If you look at INS 1 very clearly, it says that part A, part B, part C, three things are there. So therefore, part A deals with taxable person, part B deals with any other person, part C deals with search and seizure under 67(2). So the reasons to believe must be recorded on the file, put up to the joint commissioner or additional commissioner, who will apply his mind. In S. Narayanappa versus CIT, Supreme Court said, recording of reasons to believe is the manner in which Parliament ensures there is no arbitrariness. When you ask someone to think about something, he will think many things. When you ask someone to speak about some things, he will be little more careful. But when you ask person to write it down, he will be 10 times more careful. In E.P. Royappa versus State of Tamil Nadu, 1970 AR, Supreme Court said, the desire to take administrative action does not authorize bypassing the procedures in the law. So therefore, however strong the suspicion is, it is not enough to grant authorization in INS 1. In Mata Job Dobe's case versus HC, Mata Job Dobe versus HC Bihari, Supreme Court said that when power is given to a high-ranking official, that is a way of controlling arbitrariness. When a joint commissioner is given the power, no less than a joint commissioner, when the joint commissioner is the one who has to be satisfied, the reason why he has to be satisfied is tomorrow a court will ask him to come and give answer. Show me the reasons why you were satisfied to give this authorization for an investigation to be started. So therefore, if you see all these ingredients, I know our topic today is not 67, but the reason why I'm giving you this information is all these must pre-exist summons. In 90% of the cases where summons are issued to my clients, department first should satisfy me before they can go and talk to my client. All my clients, I will tell them not to attend summons. All my clients, I will tell them not to attend summons unless I give them clearance to proceed with attending summons. Why is this required? Because section 160 subsection 2 says, if you go and attend summons, if you don't question the proceeding, because 160 talks about notice, order, or communication. Summons is very much part of communication. If you go and attend, and you don't question those proceedings, you will forfeit your right to question. I have no statutory authority to stop anybody. I am only responsible to educate my client about his rights. He is welcome to go ahead in his enthusiasm and bypass me to attend the summons. When I look at the case, or when you look at the case, you will know what is the issue going on. So therefore, the first question that I will make whenever summons are issued is, please explain the reasons to believe why investigation is carried out. Request you to please furnish a copy of INS 1. Recently, we had one instance where summons was issued to a taxpayer. So we made an application to the Joint Commissioner stating that please provide us a copy of INS 1 because summons can be issued only in an investigation. Investigation can only be conducted under 67. 67 requires INS 1 before any investigation is conducted. Instruction 1/2021 dated 1st February 2021 also very clearly says how INS 1 will be issued and so on. Another letter was written to the Assistant Commissioner stating that I'll come to how it should be, how it can be served, whether it can be sent by Gmail. Summons was a copy of another letter was written to the Assistant Commissioner stating that An application has been made before the Joint Commissioner. Until the Joint Commissioner disposes of the application, please adjourn these summons proceedings indefinitely. Sign it. Please adjourn it indefinitely. Now this Assistant Commissioner, who is the SIO, the IO, the investigating officer, he wrote a letter back to me stating that you have made an application to the Joint Commissioner asking for INS 1. You are hereby informed that there is no INS 1 for the reason that there is no investigation at all. This investigation you are required to attend the summons in terms of section 150. I have that email with me. It is issued, it's taken up under section 150. Now we followed up with one more letter. We are very grateful to you that these proceedings are not under 67. Since it is not under 67 and it is under 150, I am pleased to inform you that section 150 is not applicable to me. Therefore, request you to please drop the proceedings. Previously, I had said, please adjourn the proceedings. Now I have replied saying, drop the proceedings. Instructions to the client is no further interaction with the department on this subject. It has been few months now, no news from the officer. Previously, the officer was contacting every day. Friends, please keep in mind, if your clients are happy to throw away their rights, you can't help them. They are having rights given by the law. There are safeguards in the law. There are remedies in the law. But if the taxpayer does not want it, helmet पहनो गाड़ी चलाते हुए, नहीं पहनना है तो बस सोचो कि करना क्या है. You understand? So therefore, friends, I'm encouraging you not to ignore summons. चाहे वो Gmail से आए, Yahoo से आए, WhatsApp में आए, चाहे जैसे भी आए, don't ignore it. Ignoring does not show smartness on your part. Write a 3-step reply. I received a summons dated so-and-so on so-and-so date from so-and-so email ID. I reject the contents of this communication. The third, I am required by section 160 subsection 2 to question the validity of these proceedings. So therefore, first let's establish the validity of these proceedings, then we will proceed further. Why is this important? Why is this important? Recently, we got a decision from Deputy Commissioner Appeals in Maharashtra. The assessee has given certain replies during preliminary discussions. As soon as the show cause notice was issued, he has made some replies. Because what happens is, maybe the taxpayer or maybe the tax consultant, as soon as someone gives the question, we want to start giving the answer. Same thing we have learned from foundation, inter, final. When you get a question, give the answer. But my request to members of Views Exchange, when you receive the question, before you answer the question, question the question. Question the question in order to give an answer to the question. Because when you don't understand the question, you will answer what you are supposed to answer and you will answer what you are not supposed to answer. So this Deputy Commissioner Appeals has passed an order because in appeals certain legal issues were raised and the Deputy Commissioner said, I don't have to answer these legal questions because assessee has not raised these legal questions at the earliest opportunity given to him at the time of show cause notice. So friends, revenue also has safeguards if the taxpayer is happy to throw away his safeguards. So when you look at summons, please be very careful how summons have to be read at the first time. What will happen if you don't attend? What are the next steps? What is the extent to which you need to attend in summons? What you should say, what you should not say. This is the second part we're coming to now. Summons is given to a high-ranking officer in the company, chairman, managing director, finance director, CEO, KMP, general manager. Chairman of the company will not know anything about GST. Correct, no? If the chairman of the company knows about GST 1, 3B, 2A versus 3B, 1 versus 3B, 9, 9C, if chairman knows all these things, he is unfit to be a chairman. He is a chairman because he is giving guidance to the company. Why he is wasting his time doing what somebody else is supposed to do? Giving summons to a chairman of the company. You can be sure department has no idea who they are supposed to summon. Anyway, if the summons is given to the chairman must attend the summons. The chairman must understand three aspects. They need education, three aspects: facts, interpretation of facts, admission of facts. Facts, interpretation of facts, admission of facts. Friends, I will make one statement. As an illustration, I will make a statement and then I will ask a question after making the statement. Request you to please consider the answer in your mind. A person having committed a crime goes to his advocate and tells the advocate, "Sir, I have committed murder. Sir, I have committed murder." Now my question based on this statement to you is, the statement made by the client, is it a statement of fact or is it an opinion? Is it a statement of fact or an opinion? Whenever I ask this question, normally I will get 99% wrong answers. Why? The wrong answer is statement of fact. This is what 99%, yes, someone else has said. Navinji has said it is a statement of fact. Someone very cleverly has said it is just a statement. Definitely this gentleman must be auditor. So please consider statement of fact means that there is no further doubt about it. Opinion means it is based on application of mind to the facts in the light of the law. Because murder, as you know, has a definition in Indian Penal Code. The definition has certain ingredients. The ingredients to be accepted is based on evidence and it has to be established. Sir, I have committed murder is nothing but an opinion. So therefore, chairman of a company, if he goes and says, we are not paying GST, we are not paying GST, we have to identify whether it is a statement of, whether it's a fact, it is an interpretation of fact, or it is an admission of fact. Why this is important is because very often clients don't know the difference, but it can be used in different ways. I'll give an example. There was an investigation in Jaipur in the context of service tax. There's an investigation in Jaipur in the context of service tax. There is a software company in Jaipur providing services to clients in Europe. A summons was issued to the MD of the company and the question asked to the MD was, what is the place of provision of your services? See, according to POPS rules of 2011, it means it has certain meaning in service tax law. But the MD is not an expert in service tax law. MD is going by English language. According to English language, he thinks the question means that where are you carrying out your services? He says, and he replied to the statement saying, our place of provision of services is Jaipur. Show cause notice is issued demanding 53 crores of tax, stating MD of the company has admitted that place of provision of service is Jaipur. Therefore, when place of provision of service is within India, it is not export of services. So therefore, it is important that the MD or the chairman or the director or the CEO who's given summons needs to understand what he should say, what he is not competent to say. Normally, highly educated people think they are capable of giving answers to any question. Today, if you see, everybody knows what a minister should do. Everybody knows what chairman of an association should do. Everybody knows what police commissioner should do. Everybody knows what Indian cricket team captain should do, but nobody knows what that person should do. So when you look at it from this point of view, please bear in mind, highly educated people somehow believe they cannot say, I don't know. I don't know, if the person really does not know, is the most truthful answer that can be given. So therefore, it is important for any deponee who is making statement in summons to understand what he should say, what he should not say. I told you three things: facts, interpretation of facts, admission of facts. Fact is something that is undisputable by both sides. I am registered, I am not registered. Fact. I am a company, I am not a company. Fact. I am the director, I am not the director. Fact. We have filed the returns, we have not filed the returns. Fact. We have taken ITC, we have not taken ITC. Fact. ITC is eligible. Interpretation of fact. ITC is ineligible. Interpretation of fact. Tax is not payable. Interpretation of fact. We have exemption. Interpretation of law to facts. So therefore, please understand, what is the purpose of giving summons to chairman, managing director? I don't understand. But when discussions come up regarding summons given to chairman, managing director, the assessee thinks summons is the same as arrest. Summons is the same as arrest. Arrest is under 69, summons is under 70, near neighboring sections, so they think it's one and the same. Tax professionals need to educate the client that when the department says they are going to arrest, you can be sure that they are not going to arrest. When the department says they are going to arrest somebody, you can be sure they are not going to arrest, for the reason arresting a person is not so easy. First, warrant should be given by commissioner under 69(1) to a particular officer to go and execute the warrant. There is a risk that the person who is to be arrested may abscond. Therefore, very secretly, very quietly, very friendly manner, the person will be called for a discussion. Suddenly he will be arrested. That is how it works. It is not that somebody will announce 1 week beforehand that they will be arrested and then they will be arrested. But taxpayer has a fear of authority. So taxpayer, as soon as he hears the word summons, he thinks it is equal to arrest. Let me also tell you, arrest is not punishment of the person, because prosecution and punishment has to take place only after the trial. Arrest is necessary to establish identity of the person. It is not possible for department to launch prosecution proceedings and then say, we don't know who is the person by so and so name. Whether it is this person or that person, we don't know exactly. Arrest is to establish identity of the accused. Arrest is to establish identity of the accused. As soon as the person has been identified, if there is any real reason to continue to detain the person, then only he should be detained. Otherwise, he must be enlarged on bail. 167 of CRPC talks about statutory bail of 60 days and 90 days in the two types of cases. There are any number of instances in India where arrested persons are not given reasons for their arrest and they are kept in custody for more than a year. We are not talking about cases where even the state is violating the law, bail is rejected. We are looking at comparison between summons and arrest. Summons is different from arrest. So taxpayer need to be educated that someone being called in summons is not the same as someone being arrested. Now, when you look at interpretation of fact, the gentleman, the chairman, managing director, CEO of the company, they are not competent to interpret the fact. Interpret the fact for GST purpose. I'll give an example. When a pharmaceutical company gives medicines to a doctor, is it a gift? Is it a gift or a supply for non-monetary consideration? How will the chairman of the company understand all the fine details of the law? He will use common sense, because today everyone thinks they have a lot of common sense. So the MD of the company will use his own logical thinking and give an answer. There is no room for the managing director to use his logical reasoning and give answers. Facts only have to be established. Why is this so important? Because if you look at section 136, there are 5 situations given. In order to prosecute a person, statement recorded under section 70 is relevant only if that person is dead. When the matter proceeds to prosecution, at that time, if this person who has recorded statement is not available to be produced, like he has died, or he is missing, or he cannot be brought without unreasonable cost, 5 reasons are given in 136. So therefore, statement made in summons proceedings are the weakest form of evidence. Please don't think that summons, once you say something in summons, that becomes a very strong evidence. Oral statements are the weakest form of evidence. Very often, investigation is concluded based on oral statements. Oral statements don't have high probative value. They can't prove anything. It can be used as part of the investigation. It is not the end of investigation, but many notices are built on the bedrock of statements recorded in summons proceedings. A standard response after summons proceedings is normally what is recorded, a copy is provided to the person, the deponee. To him, a copy is provided. Once a statement is brought back, it is important to carefully study the statement and reply back to the investigating officer whether there are any corrections required to the statement. No, you have changed your answer. We don't accept the correction. See, the person who has made the statement has gone back and now written a letter stating that paragraph number 10, there is a correction. This is what is stated. This is what is correctly to be stated. Officer can retain it, he can reject it, he can do whatever he wants with it. But the duty of the deponent to inform any corrections should not be overlooked. It is also very common that once statements are recorded, copies are not provided. So I recommend this approach. Every time someone attends in summons and a copy is not provided, please write back a letter stating the entire summons proceedings caused great anxiety to the undersigned. Therefore, since a copy of the statement recorded has not been provided, a request for the copy is made now, so that in the calm and comfortable settings of the office of the taxpayer, the statement can be read, examined, and confirmed if there are any corrections required or not. Now what happens? Until the revenue gives you a statement, until you make a confirmation back that that statement has no corrections to be made, that statement is not even worth the paper it is written on. I'll give you one example of one show cause notice. There is a show cause notice given to an assessee demanding crores of rupees of tax, stating that you are not issuing invoices correctly. Your books of accounts are also unreliable. Based on information collected from various sources, your turnover has been determined. The turnover details were shown to your director. Your director has confirmed that those details are correct. Based on this confirmation, we have now demanded this tax. So in the reply to the show cause notice, the short response given was, the demand is made for the period 2017. The director joined the company in 2019. When the director has made certain statement on oath, then the director should have either made the statement based on his personal knowledge about the business at that time, or he should have verified the information from the files and records of the company, books and accounts of the company, and made this statement. When the director has joined in 2019 and the transaction is of 2017, the director could not have made this statement based on personal knowledge. Second, to say that the director may have made this statement by reviewing the books and records of the company, show cause notice itself says that the books of accounts are not properly maintained. On one hand, the show cause notice says books of accounts are not maintained, but here is the director who seems to be making reference to information contained in books of accounts and issuing this statement. For these two reasons, when the statement made by the director is neither based on personal knowledge nor based on files and records, the entire statement made by the director is unreliable. Once the statement of the director is removed from the show cause notice, the allegation contained in the show cause notice is only a guesswork. Therefore, no demand is sustainable on such guesswork. Friends, it is important to identify who makes what statement. If the summons is issued not to a high-ranking officer of the company, but it is issued to an accountant, the accountant will explain whether 3B was filed or not filed. 1 was filed or not filed. What was filed in 1, what was filed in 3B. To find out this much information, summons itself is not required. GST portal itself will give all the information. So then what is the reason summons is given to the accountant? So according to me, summons can neither be given to a high-ranking officer nor to a low-ranking officer in the company. Who should they give summons to? 90% of the time, I find summons are given to the wrong person. Summons are given to the wrong person. It is a highly skilled task to give the summons to the right person. If an investigating officer asks the assessee, please give me a copy of your organization chart, then I will understand that he is looking for the right person to issue the summons. Very often, summons are given as a pressure tactic to create some nervousness, tension. Please bear in mind, The tax professional should be able to see all of these things. I give a small parallel every time when we're talking about situations like this. When you take an X-ray, to a doctor, the doctor will keep the X-ray to the light and he will see something. In his mind, he knows how the image of the hand is supposed to be. Now he will compare the image in his mind versus the image on the film. Then he will tell you whether there is any fracture or just a sprain or a swelling or what is the problem. He will be able to identify. So a tax professional, when he looks at the summons, it should be like a doctor looking at an X-ray. As a common man, if anyone looks at an X-ray, we don't understand what is going on. Black and white, gray color in between, don't know what is correct. If there's a big black line, does it mean everything is okay? Or if there is a big black line, does it mean something is broken? Doctor will know, patient may not know. But what happens here is, every time we see summons, already we are imagining our favorite Hindi cinema, where the hero is wearing white shirt and white shorts. His family members are coming to visit him in the prison. We have all wrong notions about what happens in summons proceedings. So therefore, it is important to identify the first part, whether summons can be given, what are the situations is first part. Second part, what should be said in, what can be collected in summons proceedings is the second part. What should and what should not be stated in summons proceedings is the third part. After summons, what needs to be stated regarding the contents of the deposition is the fourth part. The fifth part is, if the summons is relied upon in issuing the show cause notice, then what objections need to be raised. Why is this so important? Is because summons is treated as the end of investigation. Summons, my friend, is a means for the investigation. It is not the end of an investigation. Another important aspect to mention is, whenever a search is going on, whenever summons are being proposed, tax professionals should not be present there. But tax professionals very often accompany the client to the department. Please bear in mind, tax professional has no business being present in the same room where the some deposition is being taken. I give you one instance. A tax professional accompanied his client. Moral support ke chalte, he had accompanied the client to a summons proceeding. Department started asking question. Investigating officer started asking question, saying that how do you file your returns? Why did you file return like this? Why is GSTR 1 more than 3B? Who files your returns, etc. Immediately the taxpayer said, sir, this person who is standing here, he only files all my returns. I don't know. He only files everything. Spot summons was given to the chartered accountant, asking him to immediately sit down and give his statement as to how he went about filing these returns. Please bear in mind, most tax professionals don't have their own login ID. Tax professionals take the client's login ID, but log in through their own laptop and file returns. So when you verify on the system, very clearly the IMAC address of the chartered accountant will be revealed as the system from which these returns were filed. So please bear in mind, as long as your mandate is to file returns based on information prepared by the client, chartered tax professionals should not be party to any summons proceedings. So when you look at summons itself, what is it that we need to consider? How should we address this issue? What needs to be done? Please have a very clear perspective. The next most important thing about summons is, summons have to be given to a specific person. 50% of the cases, summons is given in the name of the company. When summons is given in the name of the company, you can be sure that the officer does not know who he needs to summon also. When you look at any summons, please differentiate between two kinds of investigations. One, somebody else is being investigated and the client is being summoned as part of that investigation. For example, A and B have some business dealings. A is under investigation. B is being summoned. Please take any summons you have, you will find we treat all summons one and the same. A is under investigation, B is given summons. B should not ask for INS1. B should only give the information to the extent truthfully aware of. The second type of summon is B is under investigation and B is given the summons. You understand the difference? A is being investigated, B is given the summons. Second part is B is being investigated and B is being given summons. When you identify which kind of summon it is, then you will accordingly understand what should be your approach in responding to summons. Why I tell clients not to respond immediately to summons is this preliminary assessment of the situation is normally not done, which must necessarily be done before attending summons and giving any replies. Summons is not something to be ignored, but summons is not something to be misused by the department. Summons is not something to be ignored, but summons is not something to be ignored if it is misused by the tax department. When you look at how summons are being issued, please identify what is the preliminary assessment about the investigation in order to decide how to move forward as far as summons are issued. Yes, Mr. Naveen Kumar has a question. He's raised his hand. I don't know what to do when someone raises his hand, so you please help me here.
Naveenji, hello. Do you have any question, Naveenji? Naveen Kumarji? I think so. He must have raised it by mistake, sir. So you can continue.
We'll continue. Next, summons are given by unauthorized officers. What do you mean by unauthorized? What do I mean by unauthorized officers? Audit officer is giving summons. Audit officer has sent ADT 1. He has asked for many things. Party has not replied. Party has not reverted back with information. So summons is given. Like I mentioned earlier, summons can be given only pursuant to 67 proceedings. Under 65, no question of issuing summons. So when an unauthorized use of section 70 is done, you must not attend. Again, it does not mean you will ignore 3-step reply. We received your summons dated so and so on so and so date. We reject the proceedings being initiated because you are an officer under 65 and not an officer under 67. I rely on section 160 subsection 2, where we have to decide what the summons are in order to what the proceedings are before we provide our response. The reason why this will be necessary is, please bear in mind, every officer needs to answer to his superiors. When an officer who has issued summons goes up to his officer, his superior, and says that here is this so-and-so who is not attending summons, he will ask why you are not attending. At that time, this information can be provided stating that he is an audit officer under 65. He has no power to issue summons under section 17. So therefore, it is very important to identify when wrong, unauthorized proceedings are involved, when summons is issued. Jurisdictional proper officer also is seen giving summons. Officer will issue ASMT 10 under 61. Immediately he will give summons. In the context of jurisdictional proper officer, I want to invite your attention to section 71, very important section. There is an officer who was passing by on that road where the assessee's office is located, he came into the office and said, I am your jurisdictional officer. Here is my ID card. Can you please show me your GST returns? I want to verify. So the taxpayer welcomed the officer, made him sit in the conference room, gave him tea, etc., and water, and told him, sir, my returns are all up to date. I have filed it on the portal. Officer said, no, that is okay, but show me your returns, ITC register, bills, vouchers, etc. I want to verify. So the client asked the officer, sir, under which section are you conducting these proceedings? Officer said, I am your proper officer. Do I need anybody's permission to come into your premises? I want to check if everything is fine. He is doing what is called general checkup. Sir, you are welcome to come to our office. Since you have come here, I will show you my returns, but I'm afraid I can't give you any further information because there is no provision in law for you to walk into my office like this. Officer got up, left the tea half, and he went away. 1 week later, he must have done research. He came back to the taxpayer's premises and said, last time I was here, you asked me which section I have the power to access your premises. Section 71, you might want to refer. So the client in that 1 week's time has had a discussion with his consultant. They knew that this is what is likely to happen. Now the client told the tax officer, sir, section 71 does not have a rule under it. Section 71 does not have a form under it. Section 71 says, with prior authorization of the commissioner, access to place of business is permitted. So therefore, Section 71 is not a substantive section of law. Section 71 is itself a machinery section in the law. Section 71 is a servant. Section 65 is the master. Section 71 is the servant. Section 66 is the master. Because if you want to come to my premises to do your audit, 65 does not give you permission, 71 gives you permission. If you want to send your special auditor to come and do an audit, 66 tells him about special audit, but it does not give him permission to come to the taxpayer's premises. So therefore, 71 also does not come to your rescue. You cannot come to my office even under 71. Now the officer got upset. What do you mean? There is no section under which I can visit your office. I will go back and send you a summons. Please bring all these books to the tax department. I will teach you a lesson. When the summons was given, another letter was written saying that jurisdictional proper officer cannot issue summons because summons can be issued only in an investigation. To conduct investigation under section 67, INS 1 is required. Friends, please bear in mind, telling someone that they don't have power is not disrespect. You can fold your hands, you can smile very politely, you can still decline to listen to unauthorized exercise of power. Please bear in mind, power is given to do a particular thing. That thing must be done in that particular manner only or not at all. It is not possible for someone to say, I am not doing my personal work. When I tell you to come, you must come. Those days are gone with VAT. Those days are gone with central excise. Those days are gone with service tax. But those officers are still there in GST. So therefore, they will take some time to understand that GST is a new law. In GST, principles of law are far better secured than under the earlier tax regime. So therefore, they also need to understand. You will not believe if I tell you this. There are any number of tax officers training sessions that are going on to help them come to terms with this new law, when they should visit taxpayer premises, when they should conduct summons, how they should conduct themselves during summons, how they should do audit, scrutiny, inspection, search, seizure. Officers are spending great amount of time trying to understand how this new law works. But today, taxpayer has a very poor understanding of the law. Taxpayer says, sir, बस आप इसको settle करो. Taxpayer attitude is, बस आप इसको settle करो. Tax professionals have to come to the rescue of the taxpayers. Friends, I will tell you, many professionals, when I'm talking to, they say, no, sir, I don't know in Bangalore how it is, but here in my city, nobody wants to take panga with the department. I will give you 3 examples. Example number 1, a taxpayer who has done nothing wrong, but still he has got a notice. This taxpayer, will he fight or will he settle? A taxpayer has done nothing wrong. He has got the right consultants, he has taken advice beforehand, he has prepared the documentation, invested in software, got a staff also to look into GST. He has done everything properly, but still he has got a notice. Will this taxpayer want to fight or not? Definitely he will want to fight. The next, a taxpayer knowingly has done something wrong. A taxpayer knowingly has done something wrong. Will this taxpayer want to fight? Of course, this taxpayer also will want to fight. The third case, the taxpayer has interpreted the law, paid the tax according to his interpretation of the law, but the department is now saying what you have paid is wrong. Once more, you have to pay the right tax. Now here, this taxpayer feels very disappointed. Will this taxpayer want to settle or he wants to fight? In all these 3 examples, I find taxpayer will want to fight. But let me tell you, tax professional does not want to fight. How many cases tax professional says, sir, isko fight karte hain. At lower level, this is how it will be done. We have to fight. We have to go in appeal. Then only we will get relief. How many tax professionals are saying that? I compliment Views Exchange for organizing programs to instill that confidence in members to go back and tell their clients, sir, no need for settlement business. Settlement ka bus chala gaya VAT ke saath. Now you have to make your position known, fight it, and you will get relief. The reason why this is important is 3 things I will tell you. Point number 1, in GST, for every provision, there are 2 views possible. For every provision, there are 2 views possible. 16.1, 17.5, 9, 7, first schedule, second schedule, third schedule, 36, 16.4, 36.4, 86A, 88. You take the provision, there are 2 views possible. When 2 views are possible, why do you feel department should not take? Why tax department should not take the other view? Why department should not take the other view? I'll come to this. Someone raised a question saying client wants to settle, but professional wants to fight the case. I'll tell you my experience in this so that perhaps maybe it's something that will resonate with some of our members. When you look at GST, more than 1 views are possible for every provision of law. So therefore, department is bound to take the other view. Why? Because somebody else has to decide. Remember, CAG officers are going to audit the officer. CAG officers can make an audit observation saying, when an alternate interpretation was possible, why did you not canvass that interpretation? So therefore, the officer wants to raise this objection so that it can get resolved in appeal. Second reason, GST is a new law. There is confusion on both sides. Taxpayer has some confusion about the law. Equally, tax department also has confusion about the law. So therefore, the tax department may also say, anyway, nobody is very clear about this, so we have to raise objections about it. Third, when you look at any provision which will have adverse implications for the officer, no officer will want to keep quiet. Officer will want to raise an observation so that it gets resolved at higher level. So when you look at it from this point of view, taxpayer needs to be educated to understand how this new law operates. Now there is this comment someone has made saying that the taxpayer is the one who wants to settle. I'll give you this example. Taxpayer is first very smart. He has not put in effort to study CA. He has started business because he knows that members are there of Use Exchange who will put in all the effort to study day and night, attend seminars, to educate themselves and then educate clients. Taxpayer, you must admit, is a very smart fellow. Taxpayer is only doing a balance to settle what is the cost, to litigate what is the cost. To settle what is the cost, to litigate what is the cost. To settle what is the probability, to litigate what is the probability. Friends, if your client thinks that he will do business for 50 years, if your client thinks he will do business for 50 years and never once receive a notice, then I think this person is the least informed about GST law. But if a client says that I know notice will come, but I don't know what is the chance of success, then the finger is back pointing at all of us, whether we are confident as to how this notice needs to be handled. If we are prepared, then client will also be willing. It is important for us to answer whether we are prepared to litigate these cases, whether we are prepared to litigate these cases. We may be interested in litigating, but are we prepared to do the litigation? Very often, fees becomes the reason for this decision. If you are so sure, take up this assignment for free. Take up one assignment for free. You are actually investing in your own capabilities. So why not take up one assignment for free? Do it and prove it. Thereafter, you will get premium for your services. These are all matters that each person needs to make a decision, but I am very clear that only litigation is going to be the area of practice in GST because 50% of the returns, the system itself is auto-populating. Remaining 50% over a period of time will get less and less complicated as far as how it needs to be prepared. So therefore, when you look at these proceedings, please be extremely aware of how to tell what needs to be done. I'll give another parallel here. एक्सरे देख के डॉक्टर साहब नहीं रोते. एक्सरे देख के डॉक्टर साहब नहीं रोते. When you look at a show cause notice, what is the first reaction coming to your mind? When you look at a show cause notice, what is the first reaction coming to your mind? I have seen commonly among many professionals across the country, I have seen this, 3 types of emotion is shown. First, fear. Notice aate immediately fear. If it is not fear, anger. If it is not anger, disappointment. Fear इसलिए कि गलती हमारा पकड़ी गई. We got caught. What we have done? Fear. Now I have to explain to client. Client will be angry. I don't know what he will say. So fear. Next, angry. How officer can interpret like this? This is not correct. Third, disappointment. How can the government make a law like this? ऐसा नहीं करते यार. This is not a good government. This is not a good GST. Please bear in mind, fear, anger and disappointment are useless emotion. लेकिन यही आता है. एक्सरे देख के डॉक्टर साहब नहीं रोते. Don't worry. Whatever is the notice, the answer, first answer should be don't worry. हड्डी टूटी हुई है, लेकिन दोनों टुकड़े अंदर है, हो जाएगा. It can be solved, don't worry. लेकिन क्या है, डॉक्टर साहब ना पेशेंट का इतना हमदर्द होता है कि पेशेंट हाथ टूटा है, पेशेंट का तकलीफ हो रही है डॉक्टर साहब को हैं. Our tax professionals are so much close. भाईचारा इतना है कि उनका दर्द हमें महसूस हो रहा है. तो प्लीज bear in mind, we have to be a little bit objective. Don't worry. नोटिस आया है तो अच्छा है, फाइट करेंगे, अपील करेंगे, आगे ले जाएंगे, आंसर ले आएंगे. We cannot give guarantee for any outcome, but we can give clarity for outcome. There is no doctor will take signature before surgery कि अंदर कुछ हो गया तो हम जिम्मेदार नहीं हैं, लेकिन डॉक्टर के चेहरे पर तो बड़ा कॉन्फिडेंस दिखता है. लेकिन इफ यू सी टैक्स प्रोफेशनल्स, नोटिस देखते ही 3 इमोशन, फियर, एंगर, डिसअपॉइंटमेंट, ये तीनों इमोशन कोई काम का नहीं है. सो फ्रेंड्स, इफ आई मे टेल यू व्हाई योर क्लाइंट वांट्स टू सेटल, आपके चेहरे देख के उसको कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं आ रहा है. ही इज लुकिंग एट योर फेस एंड उसको कॉन्फिडेंस ही नहीं आ रहा है कि फाइट करेंगे तो भी जीतेंगे. आई गिव यू एन एग्जांपल. इन वैट कर्नाटक में एड़ा तड़ा डिमांड निकल रहा था, 10 करोड़ का टैक्स, 6 करोड़ का ब्याज और 1 करोड़ का पेनल्टी. करीब करीब 12 करोड़ का डिमांड निकल गया. 12 करोड़ के डिमांड के अगेंस्ट अपील फाइल करने के लिए 12 करोड़ का इंतजाम करना था. 30% कैश, 70% बैंक गारंटी. जीएसटी में सिर्फ और सिर्फ 10% का अरेंजमेंट करना है टैक्स के चलते, और वो टैक्स भी आईटीसी में डिपॉजिट कर सकते हैं. व्हेन टैक्स पेयर कैन डिपॉजिट ओनली 10% एंड फाइट द केस, व्हाई ही वांट्स टू सेटल? डॉक्टर साहब के चेहरे पे कॉन्फिडेंस नजर नहीं आ रहा है. So please bear in mind, you need to be more confident about the issue. Now that takes us to the next topic of notice. Friends, when you get a notice, don't answer the notice, question the notice. I give you a few examples. Very important to give you examples. There was one instance, company is manufacturing generator. Each generator is selling for 1 crore rupees. The generator is transported without e-way bill, only no delivery challan, no documents, nothing. It is intercepted. E-way bill, without e-way bill, it has been intercepted. It is not like part A is okay, part B is having a mistake, updation of vehicle number, none of those problems. Bilkul e-way bill nahi hai. It is intercepted. Officer has issued 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to MOV 7 he has issued. Now the question, which provision allows ITC to be utilized for deposit? Bangalore Sestat Tribunal, Dell International Limited Judgment allows ITC. आज के तारीख में all GST appeals are being accepted on pre-deposit through ITC. You have Orissa High Court Jyoti Construction, which says that you cannot deposit through ITC. Even though that judgment is there, all appeals are being accepted on payment of pre-deposit through ITC. All right. Dell International, and after that, many other tribunal judgments are also there. All right. Now, coming back to this question, to identify how this, what are they talking about? All right. This vehicle was intercepted and 1 crore is the value of the generator. Up to MOV 7, the case has progressed, demanding tax. A short reply was given to MOV 7 saying, sir, e-way bill not applicable. Why e-way bill is not generated? Because e-way bill not applicable. Officer behosh ho gaya. After 1 day, he called for hearing. What do you mean e-way bill not applicable? You please see section 68, please see section 138. It specifies e-way bill applicable, etc., 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 etc. All that reply was given was, sir, you think that I am selling. That is why you have come to the conclusion it is 1 crore. If you see, the consignment value means the value under section 15. I am giving this generator for a marriage party, per day rental 40,000 rupees. Since it is below the limit of e-way bill, there is no e-way bill. Officer was very happy. He had told the Joint Commissioner that 36 lakhs of penalty he is going to recover. Now, he was very sad. 1 rupee also he cannot recover by way of revenue. You question the question. Don't assume the question is correct. First, you question the question, then you answer the question. I give you one more example. Recently, audit was conducted in GST period. Other income. You have other income. On your other income, audit party demanded GST payment 28%. On other income, GST of 28% is demanded because my commodity is having 28% tax. Show cause notice was issued, big fat demand, and audit, as you know, audit will give the show cause notice, executive commissioner will do the adjudication. So a short preliminary objection was filed. In the preliminary objection, a question was raised, two questions were raised to the department. We have received your show cause notice dated so and so on so and so date. The show cause notice states that 28% GST has to be paid. Request you to please clarify what is the HSN code you have used to arrive at 28%. You have demanded CGST and SGST. Please specify how you have arrived at intrastate supply under Section 8 of IGST Act. For this 28% you have demanded. So we got an email saying that once a show cause notice is issued, clarifications cannot be issued. Therefore, no further clarification will be given. So therefore, no reply was filed. Client is asking, sir, I gave you assignment to reply to show cause notice, लेकिन आप तो reply बना ही नहीं रहे हो, तो क्या करेंगे? Don't worry, पहले fees advance में दे दो, बात करेंगे. Reminder letter we received for filing reply. Reply was written stating that a clarification has been sought and no response has been received to the clarification. Hence, we are unable to file a reply. After 1 year, hearing was posted. Hearing was posted stating that even though clarification cannot be given, let us have the hearing because matter is matter has been delayed for a long time. So we attended the hearing. During the hearing, the officer said, all right, please tell me what you have to say about the show cause notice. So we replied saying that, sir, we don't understand the show cause notice only. पहले सवाल तो समझे, बाद में जवाब देंगे. We don't understand the question. How department has calculated 28%, I don't know. If I don't know whether it is goods or service, whether I don't know whether within goods any exemption is there under 2/17. If it is services, any exemption is there under 12/17. I don't know any of these things. How I will give the answer? So the officer said, so your final stand is that you are not going to give an answer. Yes, sir. I don't understand the question. Therefore, I am unable to give an answer. You have to file a reply. So we filed a detailed reply. Why we cannot give answer? The reply was not on the case. The reply was why we cannot give reply. Officer finally passed an order dropping the demand because he is also aware of Vrindavan Beverages, Duncan Agro, all these judgments he is aware. Once a show cause notice is given, the grounds on which the show cause notice is given, the same grounds the order must be passed. Section 75(7). Then section 59 is the most powerful section in the law. Section 75 is my most favorite section in the law. 75(7) says, the grounds on which the notice is issued must be the same grounds on which the order is passed. One more case. There is an assessee in Karnataka who runs a restaurant, runs a resort. He runs a resort and he has not taken GST registration. He has not taken GST registration. Unka Chennai mein GST registration is there. So he has collected CGST, SGST. Assessee has collected CGST, SGST in Karnataka, but he has deposited in Chennai. किसी ने कहा है उससे कि ज्यादा जीएसटी नंबर मत लो, एक नंबर से चला लो, जितना ज्यादा नंबर लोगे उतना ज्यादा गलतियां करोगे, उतना ज्यादा नोटिसेस आएंगे. So he has not taken the registration in Karnataka. So State Department officer conducted an inspection, found out that the person has not taken registration, paid the GST, but he has collected GST, CGST, SGST. And now on verification found out that the GST has been deposited in Chennai. Now officer said you have to pay CGST, SGST. Party explained to the officer saying, Madam, I have paid the tax in Chennai. I cannot pay 2 times. So the officer said, anyway, Chennai, CGST, चाहे कर्नाटक से जाएं या तमिलनाडु से जाएं, CGST तो सरकार को पहुंच गया. So you please give SGST. So a notice was given demanding only SGST. ये लेके client आया. Client came stating that I have a show cause notice demanding payment of SGST. So we discussed about taking up the assignment, etc. As soon as everything was confirmed, we did not file a reply. Directly a letter was written saying that we request for personal hearing. We request for personal hearing. Officer said, why you have not filed a reply? You please file the reply, then come for the hearing. No, madam, no need for reply. Direct hearing में जाएंगे, सीधा सीधा मैच में जाएंगे, खेलेंगे. Practice का जरूरत नहीं है. So we went for the hearing. In the hearing, madam said, चलो बताओ क्या कहना है. Madam, हमें कुछ कहना नहीं है. We are not going to say anything. आप order pass करो. Madam was very surprised. You are not saying anything in writing. You are asked for hearing. In the hearing also, you are not saying anything. I will pass the order. Madam, you pass order. I want to know how you will prepare DRC 7. DRC 7 में, if you fill the CGST column, automatically SGST will fill. If you fill SGST, automatically CGST will get filled. Now you have given the notice saying SGST only. You please pass order. 1.5 years over, no reply from madam. 1.5 years over, no reply from madam. Sir, please keep in mind, match जीतना है. कैसे जीतेंगे हर मैच के ऊपर डिपेंड है. कभी बैटिंग करके जीतेंगे, कभी बॉलिंग करके जीतेंगे, कभी डकवर्थ लुइस से जीतेंगे, लेकिन जीतेंगे जरूर. तो प्लीज कीप इन माइंड, एक्सरे देके डॉक्टर साहब रोते नहीं. व्हेन यू रिसीव अ शो कॉज नोटिस, फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन द क्वेश्चन. I am telling you from what I have seen in the last 4.5 years, 50% of the notice is wrong. 50% of the notice is wrong. 50% of the notice is wrong. Matlab, all the cases you are taking up, 50% success guarantee almost. Now, remaining 50% of the notice, it depends on how it has been issued. There are various lacunas. I got one show cause notice. Audit was done. Department said, यार तुम्हारा डिप्रिसिएशन 16 करोड़ कैसे है? तो हैरान हो गया फाइनेंस मैनेजर. सर 16 करोड़ कैसे, मतलब मैं क्या बताऊं? फिक्स्ड एसेट शेड्यूल देखो सर, बहुत सारे एसेट्स हैं, डिप्रिसिएशन है, रेट ऑफ डिप्रिसिएशन है, डेट ऑफ कैपिटलाइजेशन है, कंप्यूटिंग करेंगे तो बनता है 16 करोड़. ऑफिसर ने कहा नो 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 नो, ऐसे नहीं हो सकता. हाउ यू कैन हैव डिप्रिसिएशन ऑफ इतना ज्यादा रकम का डिप्रिसिएशन? I don't agree. It is a supply बोल दिया. Officer issued a show cause notice demanding GST on depreciation at cost plus 10%. Depreciation को भी 10% चढ़ा दिया. Assessee came with the show cause notice. Short reply, not long reply. कभी कभार हम सोचते हैं कि लंबी बारी खेलने से मैच जीतेंगे. कभी कभी जरूरत ही नहीं है लंबी बारी खेलने की. Short reply. Officer has demanded 18% tax on the depreciation amount. How officer arrived at 18% tax? What is the normal business class HSN code you are using in the business? Sir, we are using 9983. चलो ठीक है, सेम 9983 पे इसको भी टैक्स बना देते हैं. तो they demanded tax under 9983. Short reply. Sir, you are demanding tax under section 71C, schedule 1, para 1, permanent transfer. ठीक है, नो प्रॉब्लम. पैरा 4B ऑफ शेड्यूल 2 में ये कहा है, जब बिजनेस एसेट परमानेंटली ट्रांसफर किया जाता है, इट इज अ सप्लाई ऑफ द गुड्स एंड नॉट ए सर्विसेज. तो आपने तो 9983 पकड़ा दिया है. आई डोंट थिंक इट इज 9983 बस. क्योंकि क्या है, लंबा रिप्लाई लिखेंगे तो उनको क्लास 11 का अकाउंट्स से शुरू करना पड़ेगा, डिप्रिसिएशन क्या होता है, और वहां से खींच के सीए फाइनल तक लेके आना होगा. +2 बीकॉम के 3 साल, फिर सीए के 3 साल. इतना मेहनत तो करना नहीं है, हैं? So therefore short question, it is a goods, you are demanding tax as a service. ऑफिसर गुस्सा कर गया, ठीक है, आई विल पास द ऑर्डर एज गुड्स. माफ कीजिए सर, सेक्शन 75(7) says you cannot change the HSN code from the notice to the order. तो ऑफिसर को एक सजेशन, सर आप बुरा नहीं मानेंगे तो एक सजेशन, आप इस नोटिस को ड्रॉप करेंगे तो टाइम बचा रहेगा दोबारा से सही नोटिस निकालने के लिए. ऑफिसर और गुस्सा हो गया, हाउ आई विल ड्रॉप द डिमांड, मैंने तो बड़े बाबू को बता दिया है कि आई विल कंफर्म द डिमांड. तो ऑफिसर ने कंफर्म कर दिया अपने ईगो के चलते. अभी अपील करते हुए इट विल टेक सम मोर टाइम, 2-4 साल लग जाएगा. अल्टीमेटली तो हम जीतेंगे, क्योंकि क्या है, डिप्रिसिएशन पे टैक्स नहीं बनता है. डिप्रिसिएशन इज नॉट अ सप्लाई, एवरीबॉडी नोज. सम हायर अथॉरिटी विल अंडरस्टैंड दिस. My short point is how you can classify it as service when Schedule 2 says it is goods. Another instance, a show cause notice was given. Show cause notice is given without DRC1. If you see Rule 142(1), it says show cause notice accompanied by summary in DRC1. Show cause notice is given without DRC1. Reply was filed saying show cause notice without DRC1 is incomplete, so therefore kindly issue DRC1 or no further proceedings may be initiated. Officer after 3 months issued DRC1. Reply was given saying that show cause notice and DRC1 must be accompanied. DRC1 is not accompanied. Another 3 months gone by. Now officer has withdrawn the old show cause notice, latest DRC1. Officer now wants to give show cause notice with DRC1. He is called up and said he is going to give the show cause notice correctly. 1 year is already over. Don't know what he is going to do. Please bear in mind, I don't want any issue with the department. It is not in your hands to say that. When your name gets selected for audit, scrutiny, inspection, department wants to set an example. No department officer is taking up your case for audit, inspection, or for issuing a notice just to say, all right, I agree with you. Department has to be shown why the demand cannot be confirmed. I'll give you a small comparison, truth and facts. Truth is what the client is aware of. Fact is what the department is aware of. Whether you have committed murder or not, it does not matter. What is stated in the charge sheet, that is all that matters. So therefore, in GST, when notices are issued, everything revolves around the facts contained in the notice. I'm telling you, friends, most notices do not, 50% notices are wrong. Remaining 50%, the notices are based on conjecture, opinion, interpretation. It is not based on facts. You have not shown the details. I have seen so many notices in Karnataka, for example, in Tamil Nadu, in Kerala, in Goa. I've seen so many notices that say that we called for information, you never gave any reply, therefore we will demand tax on this item of income in your P&L account. I have not given information does not mean I will be liable to tax. Tax is payable based on supply. Tax is not payable based on non-furnishing of information. Friends, it is important for us to question the question. When notices are given, we need to analyze the question, the notice. About notices, I will give you, there are 4 sections in which show cause notice must be given. I know the topic is about notices, but we don't have the time to go into the specific clause subsections of either 73 or 74. We will look at these notices from a different perspective. Show cause notice can be given under 4 sections: 63, 73, 74, 76. 63, 73, 74, 76. Show cause notice cannot be given under 122, 125, 127. It has to be given under 74 read with 122, 74 read with 125. It has to be based on that, because time limit, adjournment, grounds, order, time barring, they are all specified in section 75. So therefore, it is important to identify the section under which a notice can be given. The way to check whether the notice is a show cause notice or not a show cause notice, it depends on what is accompanying the notice. If the notice is accompanied by DRC 1, it is a show cause notice. If a notice is accompanied by DRC 2, it is a statement of demand under 73(3). If the notice is issued with a DRC 7, then you can be sure it is a order. Recovery notice will be taken straight away. It's an order. So therefore, please keep this aspect in mind. You have to check what is accompanying the notice. Then you will know what the notice is. Gaurav ji has also raised his hand, but I will just complete this thought that I'm trying to share, and then we can take some questions. We'll quickly look at all the sections. If you see section 61, ASMT 10 is given without any DRC 1 or 7. ASMT 10 is given without any DRC 1 or 7. So when ASMT 10 is given, you give a reply in ASMT 11. Officer will pass an order in ASMT 12. There is no question of any demand, spot recovery, nothing. Many times ASMT 10 notices within 7 days you have to reply. If you don't reply, action will be taken according to law. Please remember, 61 is not connected to 79. 61 is not connected to 79, so there cannot be any show cause notice. 62, ASMT 13 with DRC 7. Please remember, 62 is a best judgment assessment. ASMT 13 with DRC 7. When DRC 7 is there, I've already told you, it is like a recovery notice. If you want to cancel this order, you must file a return within 30 days. Then the order will get automatically vacated. If you don't file the return within 30 days, if you don't file the return at all, or if you file the return after 30 days, ASMT 13 is still alive. Therefore, you also need to file an appeal under 107(1). ASMT 14 under 63 is accompanied by DRC 1. Therefore, that is also like a show cause notice. ASMT 14 goes with DRC 1. ASMT 15 goes with DRC 7. If you look at section 64, it is ASMT 16 with DRC 7. So every time you see a DRC 1 or a DRC 7, you must get an idea what needs to be done. All right. Combining summons with notices, I give you another example. Show cause notices are issued under wrong sections. There is a show cause notice issued under section 35, read with 122. As the officer says, you are not maintaining books of accounts properly. You are not maintaining books of accounts properly. Therefore, I will give show cause notice under section 35. Short reply is filed saying, section 35 tells me how to maintain my accounts and records. You cannot issue show cause notice under section 35. Officer got angry. Officer got angry and said, if I can't give notice under 35, under which section I will give notice? I have come to argue the case. I have not come to conduct class. So therefore, you drop this notice. You find out from your joint commissioner under what section you're supposed to give a notice. Then you give a notice. I will come and argue the case. But now I am not going to answer. Notices are being given under wrong sections. Now, two answers are there. No, sir, you give the documents. Why you are taking panga with the department? Give the notice. Give the reply. What is going to happen? Please bear in mind, the idea of giving notice is to set an example. The idea of giving a notice is not to satisfy themselves that everything is okay. The idea of giving a notice is to see what other interpretation can be taken. If you pay IGST, CGST, SGST is demanded. If you pay 5%, 12% is demanded. If you pay 12%, 18% is demanded. So when you look at identifying how this notice needs to be issued, you will recognize what response to take. There's a question to say that there's a show cause notice issued under 73/74. Therefore, how do we proceed to approach this? Please keep section 75(2) in mind. 75(2) says when the special circumstances required to issue a notice under 74 are not established, then the notice even issued under 74 will become a notice under 73. So when you look at a notice that says 73/74, please examine whether in the notice they are saying fraud, willful misrepresentation, suppression. If you don't find the special circumstances mentioned, then you know that it is a cut-paste error that has taken place. So when you look at notices, please don't jump to answer those questions, because that is not the way questions need to be answered. You will need to examine the questions, identify the answers to be provided, because the section will decide the type of answer. The reason why I'm saying this is the section will decide what answer you will give. If the section is 61, you give any answer. If the section is 73, then you have to identify what answer you have to give, because reply and satisfactory reply, there is a lot of difference. You will give a reply. Whether the reply is satisfactory or not is not in your control. Getting satisfied with the reply is not in your hand. So therefore, please understand the section under which it is given so that you can take action appropriately on that basis. The reason why this is important is if you don't question the question and you provide the answer to the question, you have given away and thrown aside the safeguards that are available in the law. To be able to raise this question, you need courage. Courage not because of your innocence, courage because of the safeguards in the law. Please believe this law. This law has a lot of safeguards. We just need to know how to invoke those safeguards in a given proceeding. Now, when notices are issued under the wrong section and you are bringing up the mistakes to the department's attention, what is the reaction you are going to expect? Do you expect that the officer is going to say, "Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Please excuse me. I will correct myself"? It takes great amount of humility for an officer to accept his mistakes. We find it difficult to accept our own mistakes. We find it difficult to accept our own mistakes. How will an officer of the law accept his mistakes? So for me, if the officer before whom I am arguing the case gets angry, then I know I am doing the correct thing. If the officer gets angry, then I know I am doing something correct, because I am only stating the law. I am not trying to misguide, mislead, misinterpret. I am only stating what the law says. Please bear in mind, officers are most happy. They may be angry that the revenue is lost, but they are most happy when party objects on technical grounds. Why? No CAG can come and raise objections to that. No CAG, no internal audit, no verification, no committee of commissioners can raise objection when the notice is wrong. Department can go on appeal. Department can go on appeal. I'll give you one more experience I'll share with you. Recently, there was a hearing. In the hearing, I made certain points regarding the show cause notice. The points about the show cause notice was starting from the show cause notice has not been served. Then why did you attend the hearing? Hearing notice is served. Show cause notice itself has not been served. Officer immediately made a photocopy of the show cause notice and said, "Take this show cause notice, come back after 15 days, we will have one more hearing." I said, "Now I will not come back for this show cause notice. The hearing which you have fixed, you please tell me." All right. The officer said, "You think nobody has any other work in the department? We have to come and serve the notice in your hand. It has already been sent to you. You should have been careful to receive the notice." You can see from this sentence that the officer has identified that assessee now knows that the department is wrong. The officer tries to make the assessee admit certain information. So the next question was, all right, you tell me what is the nature of your business. I will tell you how this law will apply to such transaction. Sir, please permit me to decline this opportunity you are giving me. I am not in a position to introduce new information that is not present in the show cause. I need to analyze this copy which you are giving me, and this is not the way in which the notice should be served to me. So therefore, I will not give you any new information. Officer said, all right, I will record that you are not submitting any new information. Sir, you don't take the trouble. I have written down my 5 points. Please take this and give me acknowledgement. Officer said, no, I cannot accept whatever you provide. I will tell you and you have to sign that and give me. So the officer wrote, assessee did not file a reply. He explained that no tax is payable and had nothing further to add. Sir, please excuse me. I will not sign this statement because this statement is not what points I have argued. So this went on back and forth for 10 minutes. One needs to keep calm. Finally, it concluded that the officer said, all right, we will end this hearing. You can proceed. After 2 months, we received the order that the demand was dropped. Now, department is gone on appeal against it. Please bear in mind, there are ways in which we need to identify what issues are there in the law. The tendency is to cover up the issues. You please see section 160, subsection 1. 160, subsection 1. It says, mistakes and deficiencies in a notice will not be fatal to the notice unless in substance and in effect, the intention, the purpose, and the requirements are communicated. Please bear in mind, it is not possible for an incomplete notice to be completed during adjudication. An incomplete notice remains an incomplete notice. Supreme Court has said that once a notice has been identified to be defective, the notice has to be dropped. Further proceedings, if the limitation permits, fresh proceedings may be initiated in accordance with law. What is important for us to identify is, are we having the courage to be able to say that the notice is wrong? We are so concerned. This is one aspect I want to tell only professionals. This is not about taxpayers. It is not about tax officers. Tax professionals have a selfish intention to make friends with departmental officers. I will give you an example. And it is not anybody's fault. This is how we have learned. Seniors have shown. नहीं, कमिश्नर साहब के बेटे की शादी में हमें न्योता मिला. We attended the wedding of commissioner's daughter. Please keep in mind, there are 2 types of tax professionals. एक जो सारे ऑफिसर्स के साथ यारी दोस्ती करते हुए चलते रहते हैं. दूसरे जो सारे ऑफिसर्स कदर करते हैं. There are 2 types of tax professional. One who is very friendly with all officers. Tax professional officer के साथ friendly होना, I don't think it is a necessary requirement. हमारे फ्रेंडशिप के चलते क्या पता मैं टैक्स पेयर को जस्टिस दिला रहा हूं या नहीं, I don't know. There are consult tax professionals who are very friendly with officers. This person, he knows all the commissioners, all the joint commissioners, all the additional commissioners, he knows everybody. इनके पास जाओ तो काम तुम्हारा हो जाएगा. You know what it means? हो जाएगा. But a tax officer, if you ask, who is the tax professional you have respect for? He will use certain names. नहीं sir, so and so sir is there, so and so madam is there. She is highly technical. He is highly technical. For every point he has a judgment. For every point he has an argument. He is highly knowledgeable. But I don't like him because always my demand is getting dropped in appeal. Please bear in mind, do you want to be the professional who the tax officer is very friendly with, or do you want to be the tax professional who the tax officer has respect for? Ultimately, our profession is based on knowledge. Our loyalty is not to the tax officer. Our loyalty is to the law. Our loyalty is to the law. And we have to use our skills to the best of our ability. Taxpayer comes next. Taxpayer comes next because taxpayer is very sharp. He knows for what work, who is the right person, he knows. Because by the time your client comes to you, he has already gone to 2-3 other places. He has gone to Alan Solly, he has gone to Peter England, now he has come to you. Please don't think that you are his first choice. Always keep in mind, you are his best choice. You are not his first choice. He can go to anybody, but he has decided to come to you. So therefore, please be very careful. All this unnecessary friendliness is a waste of your time. I would my compliment all members here for taking time to participate in such an intensive program that Views Exchange is organizing, because you are spending your time to build your knowledge rather than go and focus on other things. I'll make some time. I see a few hands raised also, but I'll cover this aspect of fake invoicing and then come to and make some time for questions. When it comes to fake invoicing, there are two parts of it. There is the creator of the racket, and there is a participant in the racket. There is a creator of the racket. There is a participant in the racket. We will discuss them separately. There is somebody who has created a racket. He has only taken different people, Aadhaar card, PAN number, and he has got registration in different addresses, prepared invoices, filed R1, 3B, taken credit, paid the net tax, passed on the invoices. All this scam one person has done. When there is a fake bill racket, invoices and returns will always be perfect. I keep telling departmental officers this. Sir, when you are investigating a fake bill racket, you will never find a mistake in the compliances. Everything is done on time. Everything is done correctly. 2B, 3B, perfectly matching. 1, 3B, perfectly matching. All eligible credits only taken, invoices issued correctly, credit also passed on correctly. So when there is a fake bill racket, documentation will never have any deficiencies. Point number 1. Point number 2, when fake bill racket is done, show cause notice must be issued under 2 sections and not 1 section. Suppose show cause notice is issued under section 74. When show cause notice is issued under 74, saying that, you know how a show cause notice is issued, a circular transaction will be drawn, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, saying that these are all the intermediaries involved in this fake bill racket, all are having GST number, credit has been taken by everybody, and they will color one of the circle and say, this is the SSC who is being issued this show cause notice. If show cause notice is issued only under 74, denying ITC, or demanding output tax, department will lose this case, because when department has accepted the output tax, department cannot come and say you have not paid output tax. Output tax that is admitted and discharged is retained by the revenue. ITC only is denied. When ITC is denied based on section 16(2)(b), saying that goods are not delivered or services are not delivered, please keep in mind, when output tax is accepted, ITC cannot be denied. The correct way to give a show cause notice is output tax should be demanded under 76, ITC should be denied under 74. If a show cause notice is issued only under 74, 99% chance government will lose this case. When a show cause notice is issued under 76 and 74, 99% chance department will win this case. Whether department wins the case or loses the case, they will never recover any revenue because person is now missing. So when you look at fake bill racket, I strongly submit to all our members, please don't use your skills to help someone who is violating the law. Your skills are not for them. Your skills, you are a surgeon, you will use the knife to save life, not to take life. Look at it from that point of view. But when you look at a litigation itself, once the case becomes precipitates into litigation, then you are going to examine the case on its own merit. You are not going to pass judgment about who is the person, what is his morality, etc., etc., etc. Next, we look at the case of a fake will racket where a person is not the mastermind, but a person is a participant. Normally, your client says, sir, मुझे तो पता ही नहीं है कि that supplier is bogus. Normally, when you're buying raw material, when you're buying capital goods, MD of the company is not involved in the purchase decision. Why? Accountant is there, storekeeper is there. They are doing all this every day. Their job is to do purchases, invoicing, verification, etc., etc. When the MD gets involved in making a purchase order, then you know that the MD is trying to do tax planning. Maybe he wants to increase his turnover. Maybe he wants to decrease his profits. Maybe he wants to show more expenditure. Whatever is the reason, don't believe your client, because client will give information. You will convert that information into facts relevant for the case on hand. Client does not know the facts. Client will only give information. A client who says, I never knew this supplier is a bogus dealer, this client is unfit to be in business. That somebody in his company is getting bogus bills and he does not even know about it, what sort of a business he is running. A client will normally know that bills are being purchased. When you look at it from this point of view, examine the show cause notice. When you look at section 16(2)(c), 2B is matching with 3B. 2B, 3B will never be a problem. Department's allegation is other party has already confessed to the scam. Therefore, your ITC is being denied. Please bear in mind, when we have discussed in the beginning of this today's session, when MD's own statements under summons are not admissible as evidence, what is the value of the statement made by some supplier company's MD? Please bear in mind, department tends to make certain statements as if everybody has accepted, you are the last person. Once you accept, the whole case will be concluded. Actually, from what I have seen, this story is given to everybody. बाकी सब ने accept कर लिया, सिर्फ तुम बचे हो. बाकी सब ने accept कर लिया, सिर्फ तुम बचे हो. This is the way department collects information from all the participants and finally books a comprehensive case. So when you look at these cases, please be very careful. When you identify that your client has, all right, when a person has been involved in a racket where he has purchased certain bills, you need to understand certain facts, because you know how to read a balance sheet, you know how to understand the business of this client, you know how to examine the allegations being made. According to you, you forget the client. According to you, whether this is a bogus invoice or whether this is a genuine invoice. If this is a genuine invoice, fearlessly you have to fight this case. The supplier may be doing 90% bogus, 10% genuine, and you have done a genuine purchase from that person, you please fight this case if you are confident about the merits of your case. But if you know that your client has done some mischief, please advise your client. फायदा इसी में है कि अभी का अभी you discharge the tax. Please don't take advantage of the situation. But if your client is very sure that he has not done anything wrong, there is no reason not to litigate to the highest levels if need be. But this is a question that you will have to analyze based on the facts of a particular. So when you look at fake will racket, there are only two instances. It is fake or it is genuine. There is no case of I am not sure, I don't know, it is doubtful, we need to verify. That is not something that is possible. When you identify intermediaries who are involved in transactions, the ultimate delivery of the goods or services cannot be in doubt. Let us not blame any intermediary. I don't know the supplier, I have got it through broker. Did you get the material or not? Did you get the material or not? That is not in confusion. When you identify that you have not got the material, please advise the client. It is not worth fighting. But if you know that you have genuinely received it, there's no question of not fighting. Friends, if I may share this with you, I know that I am not very much senior in the profession, but I qualified in 96, so I'm a little bit senior, older, I think, than young members. Please don't lend your skills. Please don't lend your skills to be used for illegal activities. You are not going to be part of the planning of the scam. Let us say you have done a good job. You have done the planning. Somebody has done the planning very nicely and it has been executed very nicely. It has not got detected by revenue. By doing this, you have now not become an excellent chartered accountant. Now you have become a certified crook. So therefore, please don't extend your skills. Please don't extend your skills for planning illegal activities. When it comes to litigation, see, consultancy, you wear one hat. Litigation, you wear a different hat. When it comes to litigation, you are not looking at whether there is what your client has done. You are looking at the notice. When you look at the notice, there are only two situations here. Either it's a good case to fight or it is a strong case that you will lose. Better in those cases, advise the client to discharge the taxes if the notice is very well issued. In all these 4.5 years, in so many hundreds of notices that I have seen only one show cause notice. More than 100 notices I have seen, or maybe 200 notices, I have seen only one show cause notice that I was so happy that I could not give a reply. So well written notice, very small amount of demand, but the notice was so well drafted. Friends, please bear in mind, as a litigator, you are only focused not on the morality of your client, you're focused on the merits of the case. If the case has good merits, you are going to fight. If the case has poor merits, you are going to advise the client to discharge the tax. So you need to survey this whole process. My question to you is threefold. Please consider the following questions. When you look at a certain transaction, you need to be familiar with how the whole investigation flows through the entire process. Starting from gathering intelligence, starting inspection, how the whole process follows until conclusion by issuing a show cause notice. If you take an example, I will encourage you. I see some questions popping up. Please keep sending your questions. I will try and go through the questions also as I come to at some point in my discussion. I'll pause, address some questions and go back and make my closing remarks. When you look at the whole process, this is one aspect I want to bring to you to consider. To be a good litigator, we are often told, focus on the grounds. What are the case laws? How to bring out this point? I would ask you to please consider drafting a show cause notice. You draft a show cause notice, you draft an order, you will know the difficulty of how to draft a notice. When you practice to draft a notice, you will learn how to find mistakes in a notice. Why is it important to learn how mistakes are committed in a notice? Is because you will learn what are all the aspects that should be in a notice. I give a small comparison. When Indian cricket team players, they go to England, they play in the tournament in England, they will come back and they become better players. Why do they become better? Because they have now played on the other side. When you play on the other side, practice how to draft a notice, practice how to write an order. When you come back to this side, you know how to reply to a show cause notice. You know how to raise grounds in a show cause notice. This is what becomes a very senior advocate who has given one interview in which he has said, He's a very celebrated advocate in Supreme Court. He does constitutional law. He also does tax matters. He said the amount of time he spends preparing his grounds, 3 times the amount of time he spends in preparing for the other side. What the other side will say, what grounds they will bring, how they will attack his points. He spends 3 times the amount of time that he needs to prepare for his own case, so that he has covered all angles to look at this case. I find among our members, we are interested only one side of the argument. We are not even interested in what other side is going to say. If we focus on how the other side is going to respond to our grounds, then we will know how to strengthen our grounds better. When we look at GST litigation, please consider the other side. What is it that I need to give to the adjudicating officer? What is it that I need to give to the appellate authority, so that they will feel satisfied not to confirm the demand? What is it that is going to help them understand this case? I'll give you another small example. Recently, we got an order in customs. We had filed appeal before Commissioner of Customs Appeals. This order was issued under 72 without giving any show cause notice under 28. So we appeared before the Commissioner Appeals. We were prepared to argue all the facts, etc. The opening sentence we said is, sir, show cause notice has not been served. Order has been passed during the pandemic month, June 2020. Further, let me explain the facts. So the Commissioner of Appeal said, stop. Said, sir, I will explain the facts. Commissioner of Appeal said, no, please stop. You said you have not received the notice. Yes, sir. Stop. I don't need to hear anything more. If you have not received the notice, there is nothing else for me to listen to you further. Without a notice, there cannot be an order. So we have to consider what is the shortest way out of this case. We need to know what is the shortest way out of this case. But we are all used to giving long answer. 5-mark question, 3 pages. 10-mark question, 10 pages. If I get 1 mark per page, I will pass this paper. Totally, I will get aggregate also, I will cross 50%, I will pass the exam. Please bear in mind, length of your answer is meaningless. Merits of your grounds is what is important. We need to find out a way how to give the shortest way out for any authority to consider allowing what we are praying for. I'll pause here. I'll consider a number of questions. There are a few people who are raising their hands more than once also. So please, Naveen ji, if you think you can enable them to raise their questions. In the meanwhile,
Yes, sir.
I will try and...
Can we ask the participants if anyone has any question? They can ask. I think Gaurav Goyal has raised his hand. He has some questions. Gaurav ji, you can go ahead with the question. I think, sir, he has mentioned some questions in the chat box.
I will see his questions.
Yeah.
So I have unmuted the Mr. Gaurav ji now. He can ask the questions. Mr. Gaurav, you be.
Yeah, thanks. So, sir, basically, in one of the businesses, there was special investigating branch that conducted some kind of raid on a small business with a turnover of 2-3 crores. After that, he came to me and he said that around 10-15 people came to his place and said that all the purchases, that approximately 50% of the purchases that he had made were from bogus firms. They had been cancelled with retrospective effect, and he has to be present before the authorities. Otherwise, they will be sending summons to the suppliers as well as his customers. His payments will be blocked, etc., etc. And now they are sending summons through their personal mail IDs and calling daily to appear before them to settle it or to deposit the tax. So what can be done in this case?
No, you need to make an application asking for INS1.
Okay.
If you have not put anything in writing, then the taxpayer is at fault. You don't know what the taxpayer has understood and what he has informed you. Make an application, collect INS1. When you read INS1, you will know exactly the contours of this investigation. Without INS1, all this telephonic discussion, etc., is meaningless. Please write to the additional commissioner asking for INS1. Anything that is beyond INS1, you are not obliged to give a reply.
Okay. So basically, I had just one word with him. So he said that the basis of all this investigation was around the purchases that approximately 1 crore of purchases that he had made was cancelled retrospectively. So it gave him the reasons to believe that it's a bogus purchase. We said that we can produce the documents as well as the payments, etc., that we had done.
See, what is happening is all this verbal, telephonic, etc., I will call it an unholy association. You put it in writing, let the department put it in writing, then there is clarity. Otherwise, it is all hawa mein.
Yeah, actually, I said that it should be either on portal or should someone be writing.
You please make a written application to the additional commissioner and tell the investigating officer that I have made an application to the additional commissioner. Till he replies, please wait.
Okay. And what he says that I'll lock your premises, you will not be able to.
See, all this ये भावुक होने का जरूरत नहीं है. एक्सरे देख के डॉक्टर साहब रोते नहीं. I will close the shop. All this is rubbish. This is not in the law. कौन से देश में है? All these things doesn't work in India anymore.
Okay. So basically, we can
confident. Make an application to additional commissioner. Let everybody give things in writing. If they want, if they can lock the premises, long ago they would have locked it. They won't ask you for permission.
Yeah, obviously. Okay.
Correct.
So whenever he calls, we can simply say that we have made an application to the assistant commissioner.
Whenever he calls, turant you make an application to additional commissioner and give a letter to this officer saying that an application has been made to the additional commissioner. Till additional commissioner gives a reply, you please wait. Give it in writing. Why are you doing verbal discussion?
Okay. So this letter can be sent by post to them, to the additional commissioner as well as this investigating officer.
Yes.
Okay.
There's another question.
Thank you. Now I am unmute Mr. Naveen Kumar Dandaria.
I think Naveen Kumar has raised his hand by mistake. So
hello.
So if anybody has any questions,
it's not a mistake. I want to raise a question.
Yeah,
please
go ahead.
In Assam, the state government has formed one unit stating economic offences unit. Okay. Under that unit, they are issuing the notice under Form INS1. In that notice, they are writing, we will be inspecting your premises on, say, 9th of April. And they never served that INS1. On 9th of April, they come with that notice and they say, we have sent it, you haven't received it, so we are searching your premises since you are not provided with this notice. And what they do, they ask for straight away stock report. And even when the items are there physically telling with the record, the items which are being sold, in case of manual billing, they are saying that you are having a discrepancy. They are not allowing to enter that in the books, and they are making a lot of mistype and misword communications with the taxpayer.
ठीक है, नो प्रॉब्लम. अच्छा है ना, जितना गलतियां सामने वाला करेगा उतना कमजोर होगा उनका केस. अल्टीमेटली डिपार्टमेंट को चाहिए कि वॉट एवर दे डू इन 67(1) और 67(2), उनको चाहिए कि 67(3) के चलते दे हैव टू गिव अ नोटिस अंडर 74. लेट देम गिव अ नोटिस. तुरंत तो कोई पैसा मांग नहीं रहा है, या अगर मांगे भी कोई दे नहीं रहा है, दे हैव टू गिव अ शो कॉज नोटिस. लेट देम गिव अ शो कॉज नोटिस. व्हाई यू आर trying to avoid a show cause notice? Let a notice come, then we will see what the grounds are.
So they are saying we will add so much. They are not allowing that daily transactions also to be incorporated in manual accounting.
Have you met the commissioner?
No, commissioner is 500 kilometers away from our
additional commissioner, joint commissioner. Is there somebody who is rank of joint commissioner or above?
No one in principle.
So then you can write to the additional commissioner stating the sequence of facts and that a demand is being made for spot payment of tax. There is no provision in GST where spot payment of GST is permitted. Therefore, request his intervention. So he will send suitable instructions. My dear Mr. Naveen Kumar, you please don't be afraid of any officer. It is the law that everyone has to be obedient to.
Okay, sir.
All
And
right.
one more thing, under
Yes.
section 146,
Right.
common portal was never notified for issuing any notices for GST. What the State Department is doing, they are demanding huge taxes, and when we are pressing this, it is not authorized to be issued on common portal. They are saying you only know the law. We will block this, that, and everything. We say you block it now. They are saying just pay and buy this.
See, I'll tell you what. What questions you are supposed to tell the assistant commissioner is different from what questions you have to tell the High Court. We are mixing up the issues because an officer of the law cannot sit and question the law, isn't it? So you have to be very careful and very strategic as far as what issues you will raise. Please don't be anxious to put your concerns in writing. And I've shared with you many examples today where if you write to the right officer, you will find that you're getting relief eventually. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now I'll unmute Monil Shah for another question.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Sir, we received a show cause demanding of 1.32 crores on basis of 2A that 2A is not reflecting this much ITC. So when we go through, we came to know only the difference on which portal, the basis on which the department issued notice, the tax liability and computation, it shows only 56 lakhs. So we go to department and told them they are not even dropping that notice and not giving us the revised amount, so cause for revised amount.
नहीं कायदे से they cannot drop the notice. You give your reply in writing in DRC 6. They have to pass an order based on your reply. ये verbal discussion ऑफिसर से मिलना ये सब धीरे धीरे बंद हो जाएगा. ये पुराना आदतें अभी कंटिन्यू हो रही है. You give a reply in writing, giving the details of how you have arrived at 56 lakhs. Then you wait for the department to give a reply.
एक्चुअली सर जब उन्होंने नोटिस इशू किया तब 1.32 करोड़ का डिफरेंस ही दिखा, बट पोर्टल अपडेटेड देन एंड टैक्स लायबिलिटी कंपटीशन जो रिपोर्ट निकलता है उसमें अपडेट आया और नाउ द डिफरेंस इज ऑफ 56 lakhs.
ठीक है, नो प्रॉब्लम. ऐसा भी नहीं है कि 56 lakhs आपको देना पड़े, शायद कुछ भी ना देना पड़े. तो यू गिव योर रिप्लाई इन राइटिंग. डिपार्टमेंट के अपने दिक्कतें हैं, बट ये वर्बल डिस्कशन यू शुड प्लीज अवॉइड. सेकेंडली, वॉट एवर यू से, डोंट एक्सपेक्ट 2020 मैच कि शाम को टॉस हुआ, रात को रिजल्ट आ गया. ये टेस्ट मैच है. पहले उनके बारी, फिर हमारी बारी, फिर वापस उनके बारी, लास्ट में हमारी बारी है. तो डोंट वरी, बी पेशेंट विद द प्रोसेस, यू विल गेट सक्सेस.
एंड सर उसमें भी एक और दिक्कत है कि वो जो 1.32 करोड़ उन्होंने निकाली है, इट्स कंटेन ऑल द थ्री एड्स आई सी एंड एस, बट इन नोटिस ओनली दे डिड दैट 1.3 करोड़ डिवाइड बाय 2, सो 66 lakhs in CNS. No.
ठीक है. So that is another reason for the notice to be objected. Raise this objection and specify that in your reply.
So should we give reply that how can you
see, reply is not a question. Reply is an answer. 1.32 crore divided by 2 is incorrect. As per the statement, following is the correct value, and here is the reply. Provide this reply.
So we should admit that it's 1.3 crore is correct, but it should contain I also.
See, you are not admitting anything. You are only clarifying that there are arithmetical errors in the notice on the following grounds.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Now I'll unmute N. Ananda Rao to raise his question.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Sir, I have two questions, sir. Regarding pre-deposit, I am from Orissa. There is a Orissa High Court decision that pre-deposit can't be adjusted against the ITC. But you have said that there are some decisions in Delhi and Karnataka that pre-deposit can be adjusted against ITC.
Except Orissa, in the whole country, they are accepting appeals.
Sir.
Because you have a jurisdictional high court judgment, you have to pay by cash.
So for us, it is not applicable, being a
No,
Orissa.
Yes, sir. Jyoti Construction case.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So now I have another question, sir, regarding 6710 provision, sir.
Yes.
What is, sir, regarding their two witnesses should be there in case of 67 proceedings, search and seizure. Sir, the two witnesses is non-relative of the department or non-relative of the, who will be the two witnesses?
Anybody who can come forward tomorrow and state that this is how the search was conducted. But if you see 6710, it borrows the provisions from 165.5 of CRPC.
165.5.
5 of CRPC.
Sir.
So therefore, when you get a show cause notice under 74 pursuant to investigation under 67, after you get a show cause notice and before you file a reply to the show cause notice, you need to make an application under 165.5 of CRPC. That is a very important step that you should take note of.
Sir, in our case, there is a search and seizure. The witnesses are two inspectors of the department. Is it a valid?
See, 1 minute. What happens is, when inspectors of the department are witnesses,
sir,
it is one of the grounds of objection. But please bear in mind,
sir,
whether that ground is going to help you or not needs to be examined based on each case while raising objection.
Sir. So now that is order is there. We are in appeal. Can we take this plea that the witnesses are not proper, not in reference to 165.5 of the CRPC?
You can, have you raised this objection earlier?
No. During appeal, I want to raise.
You can try. Very low probability that it will be rejected.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Now, we have 3 more questions.
Please
unmute.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello. Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes. Please
sir, Christopher, sir, very good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I have 3 queries. Sir, in case of fake invoices, sometimes government is issuing notices or caution letters that your ITC is with respect to, see, from a person, you have purchased goods from Mr. A. Let's say example, Mr. A, who is involved in fake invoice rocket. But my purchases are genuine purchases. I have paid the amount, I have received the goods. I'm sure that the client has not indulged in any of these rocket. Innocent buyer. But they are saying that you are required to deny this ITC. And as per the information available with our data, it seems that you have purchased from a person involved in rocket. Sir, but in case the bills are less than 50,000, it is very difficult for us to prove the actual receipt of the goods because there no e-way bill is required.
Mr. Shiva Kishore.
Yes, sir.
You may not know the truth, but your client knows the truth. So there is no need to pretend that our client is innocent first.
Okay.
Second aspect, department will believe their intelligence more than what you are saying.
Okay.
Let them give a notice.
Okay.
If your purchase is really genuine, it will be handled in appeal. Don't expect the investigating officer to readily accept whatever you are saying.
Okay.
Be confident, be patient with the process.
Okay, sir. The best recourse is first we need to establish the fact and give a reply so that wait for the next proceeding.
Correct.
Sir, one more issue, sir. Some inspections under section 67 with INS 01 valid inspections, they are also asking to verify cash also, physical cash. Is it possible under GST Act?
See, they can verify the cash, but they cannot seize the cash.
Okay.
The verification of the cash is to find out whether it matches with the supply that is suppressed. So verification is possible.
Sir, one final question, sir. In the case of verifications, see, in our remote area, sometimes we are also dealing with clients with remote areas, rural areas. They do not know the actual, as you explained, they don't know the fact between difference between statement and statement of facts and statement of opinion. They give some wrong statement saying that some stock difference is there. They will accept it. Their accounts are also not readily available with the they are available with the tally accountant. But the problem is, can we retract the statement if the evidence is available?
Certainly, you can correct the statement that is made based on
Okay.
more reliable documentary evidence. Yes, you can do that.
Okay. In the hurry on that day of inspection, he's not having any support. Nobody is present there. He has accepted some wrong information also.
Correct.
But if there is documentary evidence is there, we can at least correct it. Am I right, sir?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have last two questions from Bharat and Mr. Gaurav.
किसी के नाम
Please proceed.
नहीं निकलवाने वाला।
हाँ भरत जी,
नमस्कार भैया।
नमस्कार
भैया, बहुत छोटा सा एक क्वेश्चन है कि मेरे को एक नोटिस प्राप्त हुआ था 61 में कि आपकी आईटीसी मिसमैच है।
ठीक है।
हमने मिसमैचिंग को वेरीफाई करा तो पता चला कि लगभग 15 लाख की आईटीसी के बिल हमारे 18-19 में पोर्टल पे नहीं आए।
ठीक है।
हमने बिल्टी और वेट बिल मतलब सब प्रूफ किया, वो माल हम पे डिलीवर हुआ है और सामने वाले ने टैक्स भी दे दिया। हुआ ये है कि उसने वो B2C में चढ़ा दिए B2B के बजाय।
ठीक है।
और वो मान नहीं रहे हैं। अब आगे क्या वो प्रेशर बना रहे हैं कि मैं 100% पेनल्टी लगा दूंगा, 24% ब्याज लगा दूंगा।
नहीं, वो जो चाहे लगा दे, लेकिन नोटिस दे के लगा दे।
अच्छा।
बस।
तो अभी हम कुछ ना करें, बस चुप बैठ जाइए। हमने सब जमा कर।
डोंट वरी, कीप ऑल द डॉक्यूमेंट्स। आपने ASMT 11 में रिप्लाई भी कर दी होगी। ऑफिसर विल हैव टू गिव अ शो, बाकायदा उनको शो कॉज नोटिस देना होगा। ये सारे बात सामने लाते हुए डोंट वरी, पेशेंस रखो। You will get relief once you have provided all the information in adjudication.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, question from Mr. Gaurav.
सर एक फॉलो ऑन क्वेश्चन था उसके रिगार्डिंग
जी,
जो मैंने आपको केस बताया था, जैसे उसकी परचेजेस जो थी, दैट पार्टीज हैव बीन कैंसिल्ड फ्रॉम रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट।
ठीक है।
सो लीगली कैन दे क्लेम कि अभी इसका टैक्स जमा करो, वो तुम्हारी पार्टी सारी फ्रॉड थी, वी कुड नॉट फाइंड देम एटसेट्रा।
If your supplier has not deposited the tax, are you eligible for ITC?
No.
तो हो गया। But you have to ask for a show cause notice. इस नोटिस को सामने रखते हुए you can take some legal action against your supplier. चीटिंग का केस कर सकते हो, लेकिन GST के चलते you have not complied with section 16(2)(c). लेकिन एक बात प्लीज कीप इन माइंड, फरार होने वाला जो सप्लायर है उसके साथ लंबा बिजनेस करने वाला क्लाइंट का भी कुछ हद तक जिम्मेदारी बनता है। ठीक है ना? सो यू हैव टू एडवाइज।
या इसमें फॉर एग्जांपल इनका मैंने जैसे जो परचेजर थे उनकी वही टैक्स लायबिलिटी वगैरह चेक करी थी जो अभी पोर्टल पे नई फंक्शनिंग इनेबल हुई है, दैट वेदर GST 1 और 3B में टैक्स लायबिलिटी पूरी तरह पेड है या नहीं है। सो दैट वाज ऑब्वियसली 100%। वो तो सब करते ही हैं, चाहे नकली इनपुट हो कुछ भी हो, दे कीप इट 100%। सो उसके अलावा तो मेरे पास मैकेनिज्म नहीं है कि पुराना फॉर एग्जांपल 6 महीने साल भर पुराना कोई रजिस्टर्ड टैक्स पेयर था, उसने अपनी सारी कंप्लायंसेस करी हमारे अकॉर्डिंग कि मतलब GSTR 1 में अपना दिखाया, मेरे पास 282B में आ गया, उसने अपना जो मैं चेक कर सकता था कि टैक्स लायबिलिटी पे करी है नहीं करी, वो पूरी उसने करी भी है। सो उसके अलावा नेक्स्ट स्टेप क्या है मेरे पास कि मतलब अगर वो बंदा उस दिन नहीं मिलता या फिर वो रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव कैंसिल हो जाता है।
आप ना 2020 के फैन लगते हो, आप पेशेंस नहीं रख रहे हो, आपको तुरंत आंसर चाहिए। आपको आंसर मिलेगा अपील में, आपके सारे डॉक्यूमेंट सामने ले आओ, यू विल गेट आंसर। बट इमीडिएटली जो ऑफिसर है वो अपना काम करने दो।
उससे मतलब वो एक्चुअली क्या है, वो ना आरटी बेसिस पे प्रेशर क्रिएट कर रहा है क्लाइंट को डायरेक्टली कॉल करके, और उनका फिर जैसे ही वहां जाता है मेरे पास आता है कॉल।
ठीक है, आप राइटिंग में लिखो कि प्लीज प्रोसीड इन अकॉर्डेंस विद लॉ, देयर इज नो प्रोविजन फॉर मेकिंग पेमेंट ऑन वर्बल रिक्वेस्ट, प्लीज इश्यू शो कॉज नोटिस। ऑफिसर को क्या पता कि शो कॉज नोटिस कैसे दिया जाता है, वो भी किसी सेमिनार के लिए वेट कर रहा है। लेकिन यू पुट इट इन राइटिंग, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। आप भी
तो
वर्बल
राइटिंग,
बातें करते हुए उनको एनकरेज किए जा रहे हो, डोंट डू दैट।
अच्छा तो फिर मतलब एडिशनल कमिश्नर को एक तो आपने बताया कि INC 1 के लिए रिक्वेस्ट कर दें,
बस बस बस,
और साथ में इनको कह दें कि हमने वहां पे कर दिया, तो फिर लेट्स वेट फॉर द रिप्लाई एंड उसके बाद आगे प्रोसीड करेंगे।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल,
ठीक है सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू।
So we have some questions in the chat box. Are you comfortable taking them up?
Yes, I'll do.
Right now?
I'll take that question. There's one question: can ITC be denied to genuine recipient when supplier is involved in a racket? This question I think we have asked, has been answered already. All right, 50,000 rupees where no e-way bill is required. How can we defend receipt of goods? E-way bill is not the only document to establish receipt of goods. Your own internal accounting records, stock records can be the basis to establish receipt of goods. In wrong invoices, how tax is to be discharged now? If there are invoices which are issued incorrectly, tax to be discharged now can be discharged through DRC 03 if it is really a liability that is arising on the assessor. All right. How to identify fake invoices? It's a very, very interesting question. Sir, please keep in mind, there is no such thing called fake invoice. Invoice is an invoice. Fake is without supplying, just an invoice is issued. Normally, anybody who issues invoice which is without making any supply will do it only if you contact them. ऐसे नहीं कि somebody will simply raise invoice in your name. You are asking them कि मुझे बिल खरीदने हैं, प्रॉफिट घटाना है, कि टर्नओवर बढ़ाना है, something you will say, and you will contact such people. So you don't have to worry about identifying a fake bill. You will know whether you have been involved as a purchaser of the bill from a fake invoice supplier. Now, from a department point of view, when they say that an invoice is a fake invoice, department may say everything is fake. Whatever is not matching in 2B, they can say everything is fake. You need to go on the basis of your own genuine records and not based on what somebody is stating. If a company purchased one asset in the last year and used ITC and paid the money as the assured to replace the asset, after replacement, can company take better quality asset in this year and return the replaced one? Certainly, if goods are being replaced, but the invoice issued in the first year remains, then ITC can be utilized out of that invoice. Initial price of the asset was 35,000 and the new asset is 42,000. There are two ways in which this can be done. The goods can be, the first asset can be returned back with a credit note from the supplier and a new invoice for the revised value, and the new asset can be issued for the revised value. The other way is you can issue an invoice and send the asset back for 35,000 and receive the new asset with a new invoice. So there are two ways in which it is possible to do this. Section 49 says that ITC can be utilized only for self-assessed tax. Again, this is based on the Orissa High Court judgment. But when you're paying pre-deposit, Section 107(6) refers to disputed tax. Although it is not an appropriated tax, I believe it is still a tax. That is why you can use ITC to discharge pre-deposit. Can we pay RCM of 1920 now and claim ITC? 16(4) does not apply to RCM. So 1718, 1819, 1920 RCM can be paid in 22-23 also, and credit can be claimed on the date of actual payment. Department should not demand this RCM under 74 then it will be denied under 17(5)(I). So please be very careful. Arrears of RCM can be discharged now and ITC taken. Can the department issue ASMT 10 for payment of RCM on royalty paid? Royalty data is received from mining department. Department can issue ASMT 10 stating that there is a discrepancy in the returns. But if you see, the discrepancy is not in the returns. The discrepancy here is between the data in the returns and the data received from the mining department. So I would like to reply in ASMT 11 stating that the discrepancy is not a discrepancy. So 61 is not the correct provision under which this objection needs to be raised. Department may then proceed with 65 or directly 73, 74 to raise this demand, but that is a different process to handle. Can a person who is registered for certain items trade in some other items which are not there in the registration certificate? Absolutely possible. Registration is registration. There is no such thing called registered for a particular item and unregistered for all other items. The HSN code intimation is a information that does not change the registration status of the assessee. Supply made to SEZ without LUT in the year 1920. What is the solution? No solution. Circular number 125, November 2019 circular very clearly says, I think in para number 9, that omission to issue LUT is not fatal to zero rated supply. You can issue LUT for future supplies. For the past, no demands need to be raised. An assessee has two different taxable business under one registration. Can he use ITC of one business to pay tax of other business? Absolutely yes. Easily possible as long as same GST number is used for running both the businesses. Cross utilization of the total ITC balance is allowed. Can SEZ claim refund even though the supplier has omitted to execute LUT? Absolutely yes. SEZ can claim refund. If SEZ wants to claim the refund, the supplier can claim refund if the SEZ says that the refund should be claimed by the supplier. But department is denying ITC on RCM paid after September. How to contest? First, denying ITC has to be through a show cause notice. First, let the department issue show cause notice. Department cannot verbally deny ITC. Once they issue a show cause notice, then you will understand the grounds on which it is being denied so that you can suitably prepare your reply. Any case law or reference for ITC? The law itself is a reference. Why do we want case law for everything? We don't want the law. We want a case law on the same issue. Please don't be anxious. You are freely permitted to utilize credit on this basis. All right. I think those were the only questions. Any other questions? Any other hands raised, Dinesh ji?
No.
Nothing.
All right. I had a few closing comments to make about these three topics.
Yeah, please.
What is important to recognize is that today there is fear among taxpayers, fear about the way the law operates, the way tax officer is going to implement this law. Please bear in mind, I have seen what is on the other side. I have seen tax officers share their concerns. Even tax officers are afraid how this law can be made in such a manner, how they should issue show cause notices, how they should conduct inspection and search. Many members have shared their concern that they did not get the information. Department is insisting that you have to make payment immediately, otherwise they will shut down the business, they will arrest the person, etc. Please bear in mind, as long as taxpayer is afraid of the tax officer, that fear will be put to good use. If you are sure about the provisions of law, there's no need for you to be anxious. All that you will need to do is to put down whatever you have been informed verbally in writing and inform the concerned authorities, questioning whether such procedures are permitted in the law, because the section is the same, what we are reading and what the officer is reading and following. Anything that is not written in this law cannot be followed. I'm telling you, sitting here in Bangalore, we are able to handle cases in Ludhiana to explain how something should not be done. Please make sure that you put things in writing. We are still, if we keep all these discussions verbal, then we are responsible for all the things that someone is telling us, that business will be closed down, somebody will be arrested, input credits will be blocked. But if you start writing everything down, you will find that you have earned their respect, because they also know whatever you are stating is based on specific provisions of the law. It is important for us to take that effort, and joining seminars like this, even after 4.5 years, is definitely commendable, because I see that you are able to identify that this is the area where most attention needs to be paid. If we eliminate the fear that guides our thinking, then we will become more vigilant about how we will need to take action. And please keep in mind, many of the decisions that we come across, which are really based on writ petitions that are filed, are cases where there is probably a lot of truth about how some things have been done, but not all cases are of that severity. You understand? All cases are not of that severity, but the provisions being used in most cases are to get a very quick resolution. Taxpayer wants a quick solution. Tax officer also probably wants a quick solution, because if you put everything in writing, then you are answerable tomorrow when someone raises questions about the grounds that have been raised. Like I gave you some examples, many instances, department has lost revenue. I told you this instance, 50% of the show cause notices are straight away incorrect. The remaining 50% have so many deficiencies that if you start identifying them, in almost all cases, you will find success come your way. But the trouble is, taxpayer wants his interpretation of the law to be accepted at the very first instance. In GST, that is not possible. Everybody is interested in making sure that somebody else takes the decision. Everybody is interested only raising an objection so that decision can be taken by somebody else after taking into consideration what reply taxpayer is offering. Taxpayer needs to be very careful. Like I gave this example while I was answering one of the participants. Litigation in GST is inevitable. Everybody is going to get a notice. Notices will come not because we did something wrong. Notices will come because they didn't understand what we have done. The only way to raise any objection is to investigate, audit, call for records, verify, etc. But the way they go about doing it in many instances are not according to law. Once you identify this, once you become strong as far as how to raise objections to the proceedings being initiated, you will find that there are very few cases where really any issue exists. Most cases is because there's a misunderstanding, miscommunication. Today, if you see after 4.5 years, what kind of issues are being raised by department? It is really, I'm telling you, it is a very shameful situation that only 2A and 3B is being objected. As if in GST, there is no other issue in GST. There are hundreds and hundreds of other issues in GST, but officer does not know what issue to raise, but there is pressure from higher up to bring revenue. So therefore, all these things are being done. I would encourage you, 4.5 years have already gone by. Why don't we tell all our clients to get this 2A versus 3B sorted out? If 2A versus 3B is sorted out, then we will actually focus on the real issues. Maybe there are some taxpayers who are saying, if I solve this 2A versus 3B issue, then department will focus on the big issues. Better I should keep this 2A versus 3B issue alive so that the department has something to fight over and collect some extra revenue and finish the proceedings for the year. Please bear in mind, 2A versus 3. Once this e-way bill also gets introduced, 20 crores is being implemented now. It may go down to 10 and 5 crores also. This 2B, 3B issue will soon vanish. What else are we going to do next? Therefore, we will need to focus on those issues, because that is where the real potential of GST will be revealed. Department office is also learning this issue. Summons, notice, fake invoices. If you see the topics, you will find that we are focusing on these kinds of issues because this is what is occupying most of our time. We need to take this opportunity to write what we are discussing. Whatever are our views, whatever are our concerns, if we accept that we need to write this and send it across to the right people, you will find that definitely what relief you expect will come, but it will come only after you carry this to higher level. GST litigation is like a test match. The reason why it's like a test match is because nothing will get resolved at the first level. Today you will play your turn, then department will get a chance to respond to what you have to say, then you will get another chance. So therefore, just like test match, you keep the pitch condition on the fifth day and decide whether you will bat or you will let the other team bat. That will set the course as far as what you need to do. Don't disclose all your defenses right at the first place. Wait for the right time, because what relief you can get at the first level, that much only you need to ask for. When you go to the first appeal, there are certain other questions that you can raise. There are certain other relief that you can pray for. Bring it up at the right time. The challenge is to know when what should be said. And someone very nicely said, wisdom is to know when not to speak. And I end my deliberation thanking Views Exchange for giving me this opportunity, and all of you for your active participation and questions. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I think the questions are coming, but I have noted all the questions down and I will mail you up. Is it okay for you? Okay, sir.
Sure.
Sir, it was a wonderful session. Sir has covered this topic in details and shared his own experiences, basis on which summons can be issued, basis on which demands can be raised. Sir has gone deep into all the aspects and has touched upon section 73, 74, 75, 77, 122 and what not. What is the difference between a reply and a satisfactory reply? Sir, you have answered all the questions so patiently and with so much of elegance. Now I request CA Prodigy to give a vote of thanks to sir.
Yeah, thank you, Navinji. So it's my pleasure to give a vote of thanks. But before I say a vote of thanks, I would like to say that no, the punchline of the session was X-ray dekh ke doctor rote nahi. That was a fantastic punchline for the session I have noted. And you have given a lot of confidence to fight, not to settle the cases or the litigations. That was I mean, I have now at least I have, and with my many fellows friends, or also have reached the confidence not to settle but to fight with the litigations. And we always know we have taken that thank that whenever we receive any so-called notice, we always try to reply. Now we'll try to question the notice. We'll understand what is the fact written, why that was issued, that so-called notice. I mean, fantastically, amazingly, you have really very well explained lot of professional things in a very layman examples. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jatin sir, and all our lovely audience and professionals. And before I say word of thanks, please make a note that we have again a income tax session tomorrow at 11 a.m. on the finance budget 2022. Please attend. There is a veteran speaker of CASS Gupta and Ramesh Patodia along with Avinash Gupta. So I request all of you to attend. And with that note, I will say vote of thanks to everyone and say good evening. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Thank you so much, sir. I mean, Bia, do you have anything to say? I think sir is there.
So that's all. You can stop the recording and then we can wrap up the session.
Okay, I'll stop it.